Good evening. Welcome to the public hearing for the Township of Livingston Zoning Board of Adjustment. Today is January 23rd, 2024. If you are an applicant for a D or use variance, you should be aware that such a variance can only be granted after showing that special reasons for the grant of the variance exists, and that variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the zoning plan of the Township of Livingston. You should also be aware that in order to be granted such a variance, you will require an affirmative vote of 5 members of the 7-member Board of Adjustment. Other variances require a majority of 4 members to grant that variance. If you're an applicant for any variance and your variance is denied by this board, you have a right to appeal to the Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of notice of decision, and that court may overturn the decision of this board. If you're an objector to any type of variance that has been granted, you too may appeal to Superior Court of the State of New Jersey within 45 days of the notice of decision. If you do file an appeal, I ask that you please provide a copy of your complaint to the Planning Administrator, Jackie Hollis. Pursuant to the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act, also known as the Sunshine Law, adequate notice of this meeting was provided to the Star-Ledger and West Essex Tribune, and a copy was also posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building. In addition to having notice posted, notice of this meeting was placed on the township's website. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions or make statements regarding each application at the appropriate time. When the time comes, if you would like to address the board, please come to the front and use a microphone so we can make sure your comments or questions are part of the record. We will now call the roll. Ms. Khan?
Mr. Buptani?
Here.
Mr. Affronti?
Here.
Mr. Kenya?
Here.
Ms. Khanna?
Here.
Ms. Marash?
Here.
Mr. Sherman?
Here.
Ms. Yuan?
Here.
Mr. Beer?
Here.
And Ms. Khan is here.
Here.
Oh,
Okay, Ms. Khan, will you call the first applicant, please?
Block 4700, Lot 36, Hazelwood Avenue, application number 2023-30-V. Abhishek Gangwal. Applicant seeks approval for a new attached garage deck and right side and rear addition in violation of the following sections. 170-99C2, front yard setback, 40 feet required, 26.1 feet proposed, existing, 13.9 feet variance requested. 170-99C3, right side yard setback, 10 feet required, 6.67 feet proposed, 3.33 feet variance requested. 170-99C3, left side yard setback, 10 feet required, 5.75 feet proposed, 4.25 feet variance requested. 170-99C3, aggregate side yard, 30% required, 24.7% proposed, 5.3% variance requested. Habitable floor ratio, 30% allowed, 39.94 proposed, 9.94% variance requested.
Thank you. And before we continue, I neglected to mention, if you are here for 3 Thurston Drive, application 2023-43-V, that has been adjourned to February 27th, 2024. Okay. You want to swear in?
Why don't
Yo.
we let council identify ourselves?
Okay. Oh, please turn on the mic. That's okay.
Okay, thank you. Start over. My name again, Diana McGovern. I'm from the law firm of Gasho and Pomaco. I'm representing Mr. Gangwal in this matter. He resides with his wife and 2 children at 6 Hazelwood Avenue and would like to present this application for he's reduced it. I understand he was here in September and he's now back with revised plans, taking the board's suggestions to heart and reducing the habitable floor area ratio and removing a deck. We still have bulk variances which relate to some pre-existing. A lot of it is caused by the fact that the lot is undersized. It's permitted in the zone is 9,375 square feet, and the existing property is only 7,140 square feet, which is very similar to all the other properties on the block, which also relates to the front yard setback issue that we have, and the side yard setback, which will be discussed tonight. I am here with my client, Abhishek Gangwal, who is the owner of the property. We also have an architect Frank Hall, who will testify, and finally, we have Charles Baldanaza, our planner. We recognize that this is a D4 variance, and the board, if we could now present our witnesses.
Yes, please.
Ms. McGovern, you should know that there are new members of the board. Certain members of the board have reviewed both the videos. I think it's September 12th, and I forget what the October meeting is. So, and they've confirmed that under oath, so they'll be able to participate in the meeting.
Very good, thank you, because I know we need 5 affirmative, so we have 7 voting. Terrific, thank you.
Yeah.
My client has to be sworn in, I don't,
Yes, you want to swear him in?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he was sworn in before.
Although you were sworn before, I'll just do it again. Do you swear or affirm that any of the statements in the testimony you give the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
You consider yourself under oath?
I do.
Right.
Abhishek, how long have you lived at 6 Hazelwood?
I moved in this town 2016. So
And who lives with you at that?
2016, since seven years, I'm living on the same house
You don't have to
in
say.
the town.
Who lives with you there?
You can sit down and make it easier yourselves, and we'll hear you
Okay.
better. Thank you.
Who lives with you there?
I live with my family, my wife, and 2 kids, high school student and middle school students.
What is the reason that you would like this addition to your home?
The primary reason is that we have very limited space. We have only one bathroom on the second floor, which we are sharing across all the family members, like my wife, myself, my kids. And we have elderly, aging parents, like my parents are in 75-year plus age. We don't have space on neither second floor nor on first floor. Have only 3 rooms, which is shared one by me and my wife. One is for my son, one is for my daughter. So we need space to, to have sufficient space for the family members and my grandparents, like my kids' grandparents.
And you and your wife, where do you work? Do you work from home?
I do 5 days work from home. My wife works 3 days from home.
And-
She goes 2 days to office and 3 days work from home.
And is one of the reasons for this, the addition, to provide office space, dedicated office space to both yourself and to your wife?
Yes,
And as I understand it, that second bedroom or the additional bedroom on the second floor would also be used as an office at times?
yes.
And then you'd finish the basement, so your children would actually have some type of rec room area?
Correct. Right now, there is a problem on my first floor, if you see the existing. Anyone from the community, our offices, or anyone comes to visit us, the kids or family member has to go to their bedroom. We don't have any separate area. We can have a conversations maybe related to office, maybe related to personal friend, community members, or something. So everyone is forced to go to their master bedroom. So that creates a lot of, mental and emotional issues, and we are not able to invite our community friends, our office peoples, or this kind of all the casual things that we are supposed to do in a day-to-day life, right?
Thank you. I don't know, the board may have some questions.
Anybody have any questions?
I'd like to call the architect.
Actually, does anyone in the public have any questions for this witness? Okay, no.
Well, I can
Fine.
swear. If you could just state your name and your place of business, please.
Sure. My name is Frank Hall, Hall, architect for the applicant. My business address is at 27 Chestnut Street in Ridgewood.
Mr. Hall, how long have you been practicing as an architect?
I've been licensed in New Jersey since 1992.
And could you give the board the benefit of your educational background briefly?
Sure, I have a Bachelor of Architecture degree from NJIT, 1987.
Are you a licensed architect in the state of New Jersey?
I am, and my license is in good standing.
Have you previously testified before planning and zoning boards as an expert?
Yes, I have numerous times, couple hundred times, I would estimate, including having had the pleasure at this board a few years ago.
I'd move to qualify Mr. Hall as an expert in architecture.
Does anybody on the board have any questions or objections to this?
If I could, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
All right, and maybe I didn't hear him. Is your license in good standing?
Yes, it is.
All right, and have you reviewed the applicant's submissions and you're familiar with them?
I have.
Right. So if the board doesn't have any questions, I'll swear him in.
Please do.
Well, let's qualify. The board's
Okay.
going to qualify you as an architect to give testimony in this evening, all right? Do you swear or affirm that the statements and testimony you present to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Consider yourself under oath. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hall, are you familiar with the architectural plans for this site?
Yes, I am.
Those were last revised September 26, 2023, after the board's comments at that September meeting?
Yes, that is correct.
Could you please describe this site?
I will start by bringing up our
Okay.
drawing set, which looks like it's zoomed way in. Oh, here we go. Oh, just. Okay. Sure. So the dwelling at 6 Hazelwood Avenue, the residence of Mr. Gongwal and his family, exists as a single-family residence. Property records indicate that it was built in roughly 1930. It's a two-story residence on a lot nominally 50 feet wide by 141 feet deep in the R4 zone. It's a permitted use in the zone. As Mr. Gongwal has explained, he entered into the process of seeking an expansion of his family home so as to gain the spaces and the flexibility of layout that his family needs to have a contemporary lifestyle for each member of the family. I will briefly take us through the existing conditions of the house as depicted on sheet A05, if you're following along on your plans. And looking at the left-hand side of the page, we have the first floor plan. At the first floor, there's essentially a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen, as well as a full bath, which peculiarly is right inside the front door, off of what we're calling a foyer. There's a deck at the left rear of the house. There's a side door leading to the driveway off of the stairs that lead down to the basement. Among the family's needs, as compared to this plan, are a bit more generous living space and a place for Abhishek, Mr. Gongwal, to work from 5 days a week. Moving to the right, at the center of that page, at the second floor, we have 3 bedrooms and a bath. One of them is nominally the master or principal bedroom, but it does not have its own bathroom. As Mr. Gongwal explained, on the second floor, the whole family is sharing the one bathroom. Needs arising out of this existing plan are additional bedroom space for visitors, such as the 2 sets of parents occasionally visiting, and additional bathroom capacity, both for resident family and for guests. At the exterior is a freestanding garage. In January, I probably don't need to detail the less than ideal nature of that arrangement. Let me now take you through the proposed plans.
Could I just stop you one
Sure.
second? How wide is the current house?
The current house, I believe, is approximately 24 feet wide, if I recall.
Okay, thank you. All right, and
Yes,
now
24 feet.
the current proposed addition and what,
Sure, this is on sheet A02. Zooming in just a bit. First of all, we're proposing to eliminate the freestanding garage. which we'd like to make a part of the dwelling itself for a more modern arrangement. This would be accessed from the aforementioned side door without the trip into the backyard to access the garage. Behind the garage is a new guest room, seen here. We've relocated that first floor bath to a more discreet location and one that is convenient to the guest room. Also a pantry space sort of between the garage and the guest room to provide a little bit more storage for a relatively modest kitchen. At the second floor, the right-hand side of the page, we've relocated one of the bedrooms. Essentially, one of the existing relatively small bedrooms becomes the master bath to provide that additional capacity for the bedrooms. We're replacing that with one of the bedrooms located over the addition, at the second floor of the addition, and adding one more. So we're going from 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms at the second floor and gaining a master bath to provide a little more capacity. I'll go now to the zoning table, which is on sheet T1, the first sheet of the set. And also, tonight we have brought a revised zoning table clarifying a few items on the table. So I will open that up as well.
While the board is passing that out, how many vehicles park in the garage and how many vehicles would park on the
It's a
drive?
one-car garage with comfortably space for 2 additional cars in the driveway, so
Excuse me
3
one second.
vehicles storage.
Jackie, we have to mark this as A1? You have a copy? We might have more up here. Oh, thank you. Sorry about that, go ahead.
So if we're all looking at the new revised zoning table, as compared to the previous one, we've noted that there is not, in fact, a metric for lot coverage, generally referred to as impervious coverage. So we've removed that, and the quantity of impervious coverage in the township obviously is controlled somewhat with, is addressed through stormwater management. We've also clarified the building coverage, which was previously listed as 30%. It's actually, according to your formula, it's 25, being a lot over 5,000 but less than 44,000 square feet. It's 25% minus the product of the area in excess of 5,000 square feet times a factor, which I believe is 0.0002135,897, something like that, which effectively reduces it by 0.5%, so, or 0.6%, so we wind up with an effective required or permitted building coverage of 24.5%. I'm sorry,
25.4%.
25.4%. Okay.
So it's 0.4% more.
No, it's actually, that actually should say 24.5%.
It should be 24.5, okay.
Yeah, it's actually shown in the permitted box.
In the calculations under permitted.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we have 25.4, so we're slightly over on that metric.
Okay.
So what the zoning table details is essentially, we believe the reason that we need to be here this evening in this zone, the R4 zone, which obviously was overlaid in the life of this property, and it contemplates a larger lot than what exists. The required lot area is 9,375 square feet, which is supposed to occur in the first 125 feet of the lot, which would imply a 75 by 125 minimum lot area. So within that first 125 feet, with overall, and actually, we're a 50-foot wide lot where the ordinance contemplates a 75-foot wide lot. So that's what really makes this a difficult site for us in terms of the width and generating the side yard variances and the, as well as the coverage metrics. We have a lot area of 7,140.54 square feet, again, where 9,375 is required. 50 by nominally 141, average of 139 and 143. Our front yard is required to be 40 feet, although an established front yard setback is permitted. We do have a description of the, or a tabular review of the adjacent setbacks that was added to our title sheet, I believe. Sorry. Sorry, little navigation issue. Minimize?
And the survey plan is one sheet that's being marked the red color.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry, we have it arranged on a separate exhibit. Survey proposed updated, right?
Yes, this is the one that we just. I'm sorry. This is.
At any rate, we did take measurements of the adjacent properties and established that we comport with the established setback. The established setback exception, if you will, is limited to no less than 30 feet setback, but the only portion of our structure that violates that is the existing portion. We're a little bit closer than the tabular 40 feet, so we're relying upon that average prevailing setback exception. For the little bit of the garage addition that violates the 40 feet, but we're well within the established setback. It's only that small portion, we can see right here, the small portion right here that's inside that 40 feet. So I wouldn't argue that it's doesn't really require a variance, but I might strongly suggest that it doesn't actually require a variance because, again, we comport with the established setback for everything but the existing portion of the house. And we're not building on top of that portion or otherwise intensifying or extending that portion.
Pardon me, if I could interrupt for a second. Ms. McGovern, I understand that in order to establish that setback, a form needed to be submitted.
Oh, I have that here. It wasn't sent in. Submit it now if that would be all right.
I'll defer
It's
to
also,
Ms.
it's also
Howells.
on this revised
It was on the
title sheet.
It's on the revised.
Yeah, but the question is whether or not it was submitted to the appropriate official in town to confirm.
I don't know that. This was submitted with this application and the revised plan. I do not know. I can't say. I understand it would have gone to
Yes,
the code official.
I don't understand, I understand what was submitted initially. The question is on the revision, whether that was submitted so that the appropriate response could be made by the township official.
Okay. No, it was not. It was not.
Well, the concern is if it hasn't been submitted, the board needs confirmation from that department that that submission is accurate and complete. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ms. Hollis? Right. I'm new to this, so I want to make sure.
Do we have an aerial view?
My concern is if you present all this testimony, and I understand the dynamic, and that's missing, I don't know how we rehabilitate that because the board, if it votes, is now voting on something that it doesn't have the appropriate qualifications.
I understand. So one of our arguments are based on the front yard setback being a prevailing front yard setback. And I
Right.
understand that we can't verify that until the code department verifies it on their own.
I'm going to suggest that I have a concern I'm not looking to stop it, but I'm concerned with proceeding without having that element resolved, because we might be spending time and your client's money on going in a circle.
I understand. May I have 1 minute?
Surely, absolutely. I got to keep remembering.
We won't rely upon that as one of our reasons for the variance. We'll take it as a whole if we can do that, move that part of it.
I need a clarification on that, so that, what are we?
I know we're arguing now, one of the reasons we're arguing on that bulk variance with the front yard setback is that it's a prevailing setback to the neighborhood. We have aerial photographs that show it without calculations that the board can get a feel of it, but in terms of the exact calculations, we understand that the board doesn't have that.
And
So
what
that
I'm-
it's
what
an
I'm-
argument, but it's not, we're not backing it up necessarily with numbers. If we
Ms.
can
McGovern, I
proceed in that
understand,
way.
and I appreciate your commentary, but this is going to require 5 affirmative votes.
I understand that. If
In
you,
my experience, from when I had Brown here, you're always very careful when you need 5 affirmative votes.
all right,
I
so,
wouldn't want that item to adversely affect it one way or the other.
understood. If we could continue, I think our point is, if we had this proof, it wouldn't be a variance, but now we have to establish it as a variance, and we will go forward with it. My client is asking for me to continue with the presentation. So if we can, if you're in your...
I'm going to suggest to you
You're te-
respectfully,
okay,
and you
then
know
I
I do
understand.
respect you because of your experience and who you are. I'm going to suggest that I understand what your client wants to do, but there's a material element of the application that hasn't been confirmed, and I don't know what that does down the road.
All right. We understand. If we could have a continuance so we could have this confirmed with the building department,
Yes.
and then come back at the next
That-
available
I think that's a
hearing.
better idea, even though it's not a happy idea.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand, and I appreciate that. I do
So, counsel,
appreciate it.
the matter would be continued to the,
Jack,
I have to
Jackie,
ask
when
Mr.
can we get him in?
and that, what
Okay.
date would that be?
That would be Tuesday, February 22nd, at 7 p.m.
So it's continued to Tuesday, February 27, at 7 p.m., without any further need for publication or notice to property owner.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're available.
Thank you.
You're available.
Sorry about that.
I'm so sorry. It's hard when you come in and you didn't start it from the beginning.
Right, of
So
course.
it's like I'm
No,
playing.
we understand.
I'm playing catch up, but you're. I'll have to submit that as someone. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Khan, if you would call the next application?
Block 3811, Lot 12, 68 Amelia Avenue, application number 2023-43-V. John Hu, applicant seeks approval for rear left and side and second floor addition and deck in violation of the following sections: 170-99C2, front yard setback, 40 feet required, 39.33 feet proposed, .67 feet variance requested. 170-87L1D, front side yard setback, 35 feet required, 18.41 proposed, 16.59 feet variance requested.
Hi there. How are you?
Good evening. Good.
Good evening.
Believe that.
Button.
Hang it is. After 30 years of no buttons, I'm trying. I believe you were sworn in under oath to testify as well at the last meeting, all right? Do you continue to affirm and that any and all statements and testimony to give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes.
Consider yourself still under oath, all right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great, have a seat.
Okay.
Be comfortable. All right. Fill us in. What's gone on since the last time we saw you?
Okay. So let me introduce myself. My name is Chung Wu, and I'm the architect for Mr. Ho to represent this beautiful addition for 68 Amelia Avenue.
Okay,
And-
I don't remember, were you here last time?
Yes, I
Okay,
did.
all right.
Yeah.
Hi. This is Jan. I'm the owner of the 68 Amelia Avenue. I've been living here for like 7 years, since 2017, with my wife and my kids. And we plan to bring my parents over here because they're kind of like 80 years old, need somebody to take care of. So that's why we need expansion on the house. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I'll proceed.
Well, I will. Ms. Wu, before you start, we're just going to confirm again that there are new members of the board. And of the new members of the board members have reviewed the videotape from the preceding hearing, and they swore under oath that they did, those that are going to vote on it did swear under oath that they did review it. So they're qualified to vote on this matter today.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Hollis.
Thank you. Let me see if I can enlarge this. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Chung Wu, the architect for 68 Amelia Avenue, Livingston. So this is a continuation of the public hearing of that was commenced October 24th last year.
Is there a way to adjust the volume so that we can hear you?
Oh. Hello? Can you hear me?
Sorry, we were having difficulty hearing you.
Okay. Hello? No? Hello?
Give me 2 seconds.
Check, 1, 2. Check, check.
Hello? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Thank you. So good evening, everyone. My name is Chung Wu, the architect for 68 Amelia Avenue in Livingston. As I mentioned before, this is this is a continuation of the public hearing that was commenced on October 24th last year. So I would like to give a quick summary of what was discussed last time in the board meeting. So this property is actually an existing single-family house located in a corner lot at 68 Amelia Avenue. And it's a two-story, three-bedroom existing house, and the application is an addition to this dwelling. And we had two variances. They are front yard setback and front side yard setback, and both relate to existing non-conforming conditions. And in last month's meeting, there was no issue from the board members of the setback, but there were two issues raised. One is the existing site topo. The other one is the height of the building and the height of the attic. So tonight, my focus will be addressing these two concerns. So you are looking at Z and 1 on the screen right now. So this time we have added a site topo on the site plan, as you can see on the upper left-hand side. And also we added a diagram showing spot elevation at 10 feet intervals on the lower right-hand side. And that's actually, we measured along the existing building footprint. So as you can see, the site, the current site is relatively flat, and it's just like maybe 1 foot, about 1 foot above the both Amelia Avenue and Virginia Avenue. And we are also indicating there's no change on the existing spot elevation of the site. So we are not doing any grading change here. And let me just change the next page. So since we spent quite a lot of time to talk about the plans, I'm going to skip this part first and go to the elevation page. So here, we made a few changes, and also on the elevation, the front elevation on the upper left, the black line indicates the existing building profile. So right now, what we did here is, first of all, we actually lowered the attic height. I believe it was 11 foot 10 from last time, and right now it's only 8 feet height. So that actually reduced the building height quite a bit. The new proposed building height is 32 feet 2 inches, which is less than the 35 feet requirement from the zoning. And you can see it's just a few feet higher than the existing building. And just to remind everyone, there's on the left of the building, there's not the new construction. I think it's quite high. It's about the height that we propose here. And also so now the attic, just to remind everyone, the attic is not for habitat space. That is only for storage, and we don't provide any stairs to access attic. Yeah. So that's about the change for the elevation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions?
I do. One quick question. Your attic at the center, is it more like standing tall, or can you give us the idea of a height in the center and maybe on the sides, if possible?
The height is actually just for aesthetics purpose, including if you see the window, it's just for decoration. And we are, for the side windows, we may actually change to louver vents. So it's not, it's not going to be much space there. It's just, since it's just a pitch roof, it's going to be really small space for storage.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you just repeat how much the height came down?
Yeah, so the height right now is 32 feet 2 inches. I believe last meeting was 34 inches.
Okay, thank you.
For 34 feet, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the board, any questions?
You said the height earlier was 11 feet for the attic, and now it's 8?
11 feet, 10 inches. Now it's 8 feet.
So that's about 4 feet less than
Yeah,
approximately.
right. And
But the total height of the house has come down only 2 feet?
well, I think the second floor, I think right now it's 9 feet. Used to be 8. So it's just the second floor raised a little bit higher, but that's also for the ease of use. So
height on-
another thing,
Okay.
yeah, another thing to mention here is for the new drawing, we actually, the baseline of the height, that 304 feet, 0.83, that number came from the diagram you saw on the first drawing, the diagram. So we used the average of the existing building. So as you can see, that's actually lower than the front elevation, meaning the front elevation itself is less than 32 feet, 2 inches. It's an average height.
Okay. I'm still confused. Maybe my math is not the strongest suit, but
The base elevation changed.
the base elevation
The-
changed.
One of the floor heights changed.
So it was
And then
30,
they brought everything down in the attic, so you lost 2 feet net. but
2 feet
There
net.
was some positives along the way.
Okay. I get it. Yeah.
One of the, on the previous drawings or the previous meeting, one of the other things was the window well that you had for the basement egress window. You're going to add that to the elevation drawings?
I think that's the window well on the basement, yeah, here. Right. There's going to be a ladder there. Yeah, that's the area here.
And is the bay window in the front now new compared to the previous drawings?
It's the same. We didn't
Same?
change that,
Okay.
yeah.
Anybody else, any questions on the board?
One more question.
Yes.
There's a tree on the side yard. Is this the construction, the expansion towards that side? Do you need to bring down the tree for that?
Which side?
There's a tree on, if I'm facing the house, then it's on the right,
On the-
right? There's a,
Facing the house on the right. No.
yours is on the corner.
Yes, so we wouldn't burn that tree because
There's-
it was okay.
It's, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's, the tree location is here. So it's actually, we're not affecting the tree. The tree remains.
You're showing 6'6" for the attic to the ridge. How much standing room is there inside?
The attic, actually, let me just show you real quick. It's 8 feet, but interior space is probably 6 feet. So that's, yeah, 8 feet here is the attic height.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's say you got, okay. Do we need to count that, or?
Is it going to be storage? If my memory serves me correctly, the attic is storage.
It's storage. So like even the 6 feet is probably just really limited space because the roof is pitched.
Yeah, can I add something? So the reason why we want to have like a little bit higher like attic is just for cosmetic. From outside, it looks beautiful. Because we looked at all the buildings like on our street, even in our town, we feel like the recently built house with this kind of what it's called, like a triangle. it was beautiful, and also me and my wife, we love two-door building in the past, right, with very historical view, and so that's why we want to kind of like add a kind of like this kind of like triangle, and also the window there, just it makes it feel much better. Just cosmetic stuff.
And as a condition of approval, the attic, it'll be confirmed that the attic is not going to be occupied or
It's not going to be occupied.
No, I think the footage, I think it's a total 3,200 something, right? It's sufficient for us, yeah. And also, from my experience, I don't like third floor, because I don't like climbing the stairs. Just be clear, because at this moment we have the what is called split level, so you have to climb multiples, and all three of us who live in this building for 7 years, we all hurt our back. We were slipping down from the stair, so we don't like the stairs.
Is it a walk-up attic or a pull-down attic?
It's going to be pulled down.
Pull down,
yeah.
something like pull down, yeah. Similar to what we have now.
Okay, any other questions on the board? Anybody in the public have any questions? Okay, would anybody on the board like to make a statement?
I'll make a statement. Thank you so much for taking the suggestions of the board and applying them to these plans. I think it looks really, it looks great. Did a nice job changing it, and I think the roof height coming down a couple of feet makes a difference. So thank you so much for taking the advice of the board and for making the necessary changes, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to make a statement?
Yeah, just agreed, and I think I was satisfied with the setback aspect of this the first time, and so it's just a matter of reducing that impact of the height, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody in the public want to make a comment or statement on this application? Okay, would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Ms. Khan?
Block 3811, Lot 12, 68 Amelia Avenue, application number 2023-43-V, John Ho. I make a motion that we approve this application with the condition that the attic will not be used for habitable space. But I make a motion that we approve it.
I second.
Second by Mr. Butani.
Okay. Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Butani?
Yes.
Mr. Affronti?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna?
Yes.
Mr. Sherman?
Yes.
Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Good evening.
Ms. Khan, will you call the next application?
Block 2000, Lot 11, 4 Melrose, it should be Drive, application number 2023-53-V, 72 Fellswood Drive, LLC. Applicant seeks approval to construct a new single-family residence in violation of the following sections: 170-99C2, front yard setback, 40 feet required, 35.8 feet proposed existing, 4.2 feet variance requested. 170-87L1D, right front side yard setback, 35 feet required, 30.7 proposed, 4.3 feet variance requested. 170-99C4, right rear yard setback, 35 feet required, 30.1 feet proposed, 4.9 feet variance requested.
Welcome back.
For the record, Diana McGovern from the law firm of Gascio and Pomaco. I'm here today on what is currently 72 Fellswood Drive, but we're hoping to make it 4 Melrose. It's a corner property. It's oddly shaped. It's due to the odd shape and the corner situation, it's created the need for 3 bulk variances. Front yard variance, where 40 is required, we're proposing 35.8. Where on the right side, 35 feet is required, we are proposing 30.3 feet. And the rear yard, 35 feet is required, and we are proposing 30.1. The existing ranch home, which is built on a slab, is angled in such a way that it doesn't meet any of the setbacks, so this is actually an improvement to what's there. And the proposed new home is quite an upgrade. The current house, because of the slab and the situation, we'd be faced with the worst variances and the inability to really develop it to something that would be as attractive as this project is. I have two witnesses, the owner of the property, Camille Rizikowski, and I have Mr. Charles Baldanza, who is wearing three hats tonight. He's our architect, he's our engineer, and he's our planner. So if I could first call Mr. Rizikowski, the owner.
Hello, how are you?
Swear or affirm that any and all statements you give to the board this evening and any testimony will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes, I do.
Consider yourself under oath.
Thank you.
Camille, when did you purchase 72 Fellswood Drive?
In October of 2023.
And could you tell the board the condition of the current house?
Yep, the condition of the current house is, I would say, below average. It is sitting on a slab. During the purchase of the home, we did inspect and found a lot of noticeable cracks within the slab. You know, has its shelf life, in my opinion, so definitely would, it's time to, you know, give it a nice sort of a rebuild or knockdown.
What is the surrounding area comprised of?
It's comprised of a mixture of existing homes such as this one, and certainly that area, Melrose, Fellswood, Elmwood, have a lot of homes that have been constructed very similarly to what we are proposing.
Okay, the board may have some questions for you. Oh, I know, forgot. Could you describe in general what you're seeking to do with the new home? What it's
Yeah,
going to
we're
look
seeking to build a new single-family home, 2 stories, 5 bedrooms, you know, to meet sort of the current mandate of the modern family, who has at least one or possibly 2, family members working from home, probably 2 of the 3 kids, a little play area, nothing extravagant, nothing over the top. Pretty reasonable. We really wanted to stay within the habitable floor area and the ratio within the zone. We didn't want to, you know, be egregious or anything like that to maximize or take advantage of that. So we really wanted to stay within as modest as possible.
Thank you. The board may have questions for you.
Anybody on the board have any questions? Anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Oh, we're going back to you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you. My apologies. Please step forward so we can hear you. If you could state your name and address.
Absolutely. Good evening, everybody.
Hi there.
My name is Edmond Vanite. I'm the next door neighbor to this gentleman over here. I live at 70 Fellswood Drive. I don't know what I came
Pardon me
to-
for a second. Could you spell your last name for me?
It's G as in George, B as in boy, A-N-I-T-E.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And by the way, I'm an architect. I'm very much interested in, I don't know, maybe I came too quickly. I wanted to hear more from him in terms of the presentation before I make my statement. But
Well, at this time, we're going to ask questions
okay.
of him or the next witness. At
Okay.
the end, if you want to make a statement, then you can make a statement at the
I
end.
think that will work for me.
Okay, great.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Do you want to use the? Yeah, I can computer. Mr.
Please state,
Do you want to?
yeah, if you would do it that way. Would you please state your name and your place of, address of employment?
Yes, my name is Charles Baldanza. That's spelled Baldanza. And my business address is 645 Westwood Avenue in Rivervale, 645 Suite 204, Rivervale, New Jersey.
Mr. Balenza, do you swear or affirm that any and all statements you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Right? Would you state, with counsel, with your permission, would you state your credentials for all those things
Great, thank
that
you.
you're a professional of?
Yes.
You could talk about your licenses in each of the areas.
Yes, okay,
Architecture, engineering, and planning.
I'm a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey. I've had my engineering license since 2001, and it's in good standing. I am a registered architect in the state of New Jersey since 2014, and my license is in good standing. And I have been a professional planner licensed in New Jersey since 2015.
And have you appeared before boards throughout the state of New Jersey in each of those capacities as an expert?
Yes.
Could we also have your education background?
Yes,
for the record?
I have a degree in a Master of Architecture from NJIT, 2013.
That's the professional engineer,
No, Master of Architecture.
Master of Architecture. And in terms of your engineering degree?
I do not have an engineering degree. I achieved engineering licensure by virtue of testing and having the requisite number of years
Okay.
working as a professional engineer.
And as a professional
At a firm that does professional engineering.
And as a professional planner?
I don't have a specific degree in professional planning, but by virtue of being an architect, I was able to pass the test and become a licensed professional planner.
Very well. I would suggest, Mr. Chairman, that be accepted to present professional expert testimony in those three matters.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? Okay, then I agree. There being no objection, the witness is accepted as expert in architecture, engineering, and planning.
Thank you. Okay, Charlie, could you go through the existing conditions
Yes.
and the neighborhood in the area?
Am I controlling the computer or is
You.
the? Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Okay, so what you see above you is my sheet SP2, which is the existing conditions. As we said, the subject property is 72 Fellswood Drive. It has 10,474 square feet of area, which is greater than the 9,375 square feet that are required in the zone. The property is located at the corner of Melrose Drive and Fellswood Drive. And as Camille described, it currently has a one-story, single-family home that's built on a slab. The existing house, as you can see from the plan, is oriented kind of like they used to do them, maybe when it was built back in 1950, as far as we know, where it faces both. It faces both streets, so they kind of split the difference, which is not an arrangement that we often see in more modern times. So there's existing right now, we have 3,295 square feet of lot coverage on the site. The land slopes from the south, so I don't know if you can see my cursor. Yeah, the land slopes from the south side to the north side, generally speaking. There's no known existing stormwater facilities on the site, and the surface water flows, obviously, in the same direction as a contour, so from the south side to the north side. I'll describe the proposed use and construction on the site. Let me go back here. So this is my sheet SP1. So we're proposing to demolish the house that I just spoke of, and we want to build a new two-story single-family dwelling, which of course is a permitted use in the R4 zone. The new home will comply with side yard minimum setback required of 10 feet. We have 11 feet, that's over here on this side. The maximum building height, we're going to be under the 35 feet. We're proposing 34.8 feet. The habitable floor area, we comply with that regulation. I'm reading off of the zoning chart, which I think you can see, which is 3,220 square feet. We're allowed to do, we're doing 3132. The maximum floor area ratio of 30%, we're doing 29.9. And the maximum building coverage ratio of 23.83, we're proposing 18.5. As far as the design challenges that we faced on the project, when we began to lay out the house on the site where the new home would go, we realized we had a little bit of a dilemma because of it being a corner lot. As I said, with the existing house, we realized we didn't want to face the house towards kind of both streets. We didn't want to do that angle, both because of the look and because the shape of the backyard then is really not particularly usable. So we also had a dilemma because of if we strictly applied the current Livingston zoning code with the setbacks from both frontages, then the building envelope that we were left with was extremely narrow and really impractical to make it work. And you can see in my drawing that we have that red outline shows the building envelope as the code would dictate being on there. So that being the case, we have the three variances, which are the bulk variances, and they're really all related to the setback issue because of the required 40 feet from Melrose. So per 170-99C2, the required front yard setback is 40 feet, and we're proposing 35.8 feet. The right side setback is required to be 35 feet, and we're proposing 30.3 feet. And let me point out that both of these variances, I'm going to flip back quickly to the existing conditions, are less than the house that's presently on the site right now has. So as you can see, the house is only 28.7 from Melrose, and it's 31.1 from, excuse me, I knocked myself off the page here. And it's 31.1 from Melrose. So what we are proposing is actually a greater setback than the house existing right now has. So then in addition, the final variance that we would be requiring is for the rear, the rear side setback, which we are asking for 30.1 feet. As you can see, if we strictly adhered to that requirement represented by the red line, we would end up having an unusually shaped house. We would have a smaller house than what we are currently proposing. And again, a quick reference back to the existing conditions, and it can be seen that the house in that same location is, at this exact moment, 20.2 feet away from the line. So again, we were going to be arguing that that's a significant improvement on what's there right now.
Just 1 second, with your engineering hat on, the drainage and utility from the current house, are you improving it with the new home?
Yes, we are, because what we are doing is we are going to be, I can go to the SP3, which is our drainage, grading, and utility plan. And let me point out several factors on this sheet to make that point. We're going to be regrading, of course, the entire property, except for a few areas up in the corner here. So what we're doing is we're regrading it to direct the water and provide a swale. so that the water doesn't go onto the neighboring property down Melrose. We are providing underground roof leaders and leader drains that are going to be, carry the water away from the house and away from where they could discharge on any neighboring properties. And as far as utilities go, yes, we're going to improve them in the sense of we're going to utilize the existing utility connections that are at the site and, put in new electrical service, new water lateral, new gas lateral, et cetera, as far as that goes.
Okay, so then you were going through the, I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
No, you're
About
not.
to go through the plans, I think?
Yeah, as far as the architectural plans,
Yeah.
I'll just state real quickly, to finish up with the engineering, that we have provided a soil erosion and sediment control plan for our proposed work, too. Now, how do I get to the, oh, I see, okay. So, I'd like to start by showing, if possible, can I show a new exhibit, which is a rendering that we prepared?
Yeah, just have to mark it as Exhibit A1.
Sure.
Okay.
And make sure Ms. Hollis gets a copy.
I'll get it to her.
Oh, that's not it. Is it yeah, okay, I have it on the flash drive. Forgive me here for this. It's difficult when you wear 3 hats, I suppose,
You have to change your suit and your tie.
I can't, it's tough to blame, the architect part of me wants to blame the engineer and vice versa. Oh, I was wondering what happened to that. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so here's a rendering. I wanted to just start with that. This is the rendering of the new house and what it's going to look like. So as you can see, we wanted to get like a modern yet classic characteristics that we think, in our past experience have been positively received, such as the gable roofs, traditional style siding, as well, including board and batten vertical siding on a portion of the front facade. We have a standing seam roof, accents on the smaller roofs. We have double hung windows and a covered porch. So we wanted to design something that, since it's a corner lot, you can really see, it's very visible. So we wanted the presence to the street on both streets to be attractive and have attractive materials. The home depicted here fits in well with the existing neighborhood context. In that, there's definitely a mix of 1.5, 2-story buildings, but mostly there's gable roofs almost predominantly, and there's a lot of covered front porches. We're within the height limitation of the zone. So just getting back to the materials, we were going to do all around the building, we were going to do hardy plank, horizontal siding, asphalt roof shingles on the main roof. We have this somewhat unusual barrel vault. We wanted a barrel vault roof over the front door. I call your attention to the stone accents, which you're going to see on the elevation. We also have on the side facing Fellswood. A carriage-style garage door, which fits in nice with the style of the house. And I'd like to point out that the color scheme shown here in the rendering is from what I believe the applicant is going to do. I've worked with him in the past, and this is something that we've had a lot of success with. So this is pretty true to what in real life the color palette for the house will be. Okay, so that being said, I'm going to go to the plans and describe briefly the features of the house. We have a habitable floor area. The first floor is 1,501 square feet. We have an open concept kitchen and family room. We have a dining room with a little bar, and we have an office, powder room, and a large pantry. There's a mud room in from the garage. We've found that's a very popular feature to have a nice mud room coming in. And we have the access to the rear is from a sliding door with steps down to the patio. And we also have, in the rear, we have a bedroom with its own full bath and a walk-in closet. Discussing the second floor, we have 4 bedrooms upstairs, including the master suite, with a laundry room upstairs, and a total of 3 full baths on the second floor. One of the 3 secondary bedrooms has its own full bath, so it's like an ensuite, and the other 2 remaining bedrooms share a bathroom that's accessible from the hall. And the habitable area of the second floor is 1,631 square feet. As I said, the proposed house is a 2-story home, and it's 34.8 feet in height, which complies with the limits of the zone. Just briefly, as far as the exterior lighting goes, we really just have lighting on the house, a porch light, which I showed on the rendering, over the front door. And in addition, there's going to just be the normal sconces and things.
How many cars can park on this site?
Yeah, our proposal accommodates 4 parked cars in the garage and in the driveway, a total of 4.
Okay, we're putting the planning hat on now?
Yes, if we're ready for that.
Unless, did the board want to stop and ask questions for each subject? I don't know which way you want to go. Okay, all right, we're going to go to planning.
Okay. This is an exhibit. I don't think it was submitted with the full package, but, so if we need to mark it an exhibit or whatever the case may be.
Exhibit A2?
Yeah.
I didn't print that one out, I'll get that to you.
Okay, so,
So that we have it for the record.
yes, the exhibit is just something we made, which is an aerial map, which I think came from Google. Then, and the aerial map is just marked up with the street names and the site highlighted. And the other one is the tax map. And as usual, on most of my applications, the tax map the site is right at the intersection of a few different sheets. So we did a little magic to stitch these sheets together. So it's a representation of the tax map, information from the tax map.
The,
Composite of 3 different sheets.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, the entries there that are in red or some sort of color, are those made by you?
Yes, they are made by both on the aerial and on the tax map.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Okay. I'm going to describe the neighborhood and the area surrounding the site. Well, first of all, I mentioned the home, as far as tax records go, was constructed in 1950, which I think many of the homes in the neighborhood date from that period in time. So the surrounding neighborhood, well beyond the 200 feet around the property, it's all part of the R4 zone. As we said, the neighborhood is composed of predominantly 1.5, 2-story single-family houses. And as you can see, the houses, generally the lots in the neighborhood seem to be about the similar size as the subject property. When we examined the master plan, as far as it making any reference to this zone or to this type of project, indeed it does. I researched the 2018 reexamination of the master plan, and in section 3, page 11, it specifically mentions the R4 districts as being, quote, some of the older residential districts in the township. The recommendation of the master plan is, quote again, that the R4 district setback requirements should be adjusted to better reflect the existing conditions in the neighborhood so as to reduce the need for variances, and consideration should be given to rezoning. So, and that's end quote then. So the fact is that corner lots, by the fact that they're required to have more stringent setbacks from both streets, ends up creating, as you saw from my architectural and engineering testimony, a small and awkwardly shaped building envelope. So again, just to briefly reiterate the variances that we're looking for, the three bulk variances are for the front yard, the right front side, and for the rear yard. We received a denial letter, and in addition to pointing out those three variances, they asked for two other points, which we both addressed, those points, which is that if the new home is to face Melrose, they advised that we will need to apply for a change of address, and my understanding is that that has been applied for. And they also mentioned the exterior basement stairs that we're proposing cannot be covered. Well, our plan, and if you'd like, I could go back to it, but our plan does indicate that exterior staircase to the basement is not covered, and therefore does not need a variance for it to be in a side yard. So I'm going to describe again, the C variances and the reasons justifying the relief that we're looking for. The required front yard setback in the R4 zone is 40 feet, and our minimum front yard setback is 35.8, hence the need for a variance. However, this lot being a corner lot, we're forced to reckon with the 35-foot side street setback as well. This unusual circumstance creates a much stricter building envelope, making it difficult to obey the front yard setback. We received an interpretation from the zoning official that the Livingston Code, section 170-99C2, does not apply to corner lots. That provision is that the frontage averaging of the neighborhood, and we were told that that doesn't apply to the corner lots. So that right there tells you that if we were an interior lot, we would be able to average based on 200 feet within of the site and use that as our prevailing setback. So we were not able to do that, and then hence that essentially is the crux of the matter of why we're here tonight, because not being able to do that means that that we have to contend with the 40-foot that the zone calls for to be set back. The need for the remaining variances is based mainly on the location of the lot and the fact that it's a corner lot. Not only must we conform with the 40-foot front yard setback measured off of Melrose Drive, but we must conform to a 35-foot side street setback measured off of Fellswood. As I mentioned, that makes a much stricter building envelope that we've had to contend with. So that being said, the site itself obviously is very suitable for the project. During the engineering and architectural portion of the testimony, you saw the single-family home we're proposing. It's a very typical single-family home. There's nothing really particularly special about it, and it will function well on the site. There is an existing house there now, single-family, and so the site is appropriate for this. When we look at the zone, and we look at whether other houses in the zone have mostly conforming structures, one thing that I noticed too is that the house that's exactly across Melrose, so at the opposite corner of Fellswood and Melrose, is almost a similar situation where it faces both streets. So I think in general, the homes in the neighborhood are conforming, but it's likely that other corner lots would not be conforming with the requirements of the zone either. So when we get to the statutory criteria for the granting of these variances, as you all know, the applicant will need to demonstrate to the zoning board satisfaction that these variants can be granted in accordance with both the positive and negative criteria established in the MUL, and we're going to attempt to do that.
Can I just interrupt you? What about the shape of the lot? Would you say that's
Yes, that's a great point, and maybe I should go to the actual site plan here, because I think that will illustrate it. The shape of the lot is trapezoidal, and again, if when you take that lot lines and you basically offset the lines into the building envelope, you can see how that trapezoidal factor is really something that was difficult for us to contend with. I'd also like to point out one other thing while I have this plan up. And this was based on, obviously, the existing conditions plan was based on the survey that we had. And the surveyor came back with information that said the filed map building setback line, which again, in my opinion, that indicates that at the time that this subdivision was designed, presumably back 70 years or so ago, that this line, the 30-foot setback line from the property line on both streets, was the requirement at the time. And again, it's a little bit of a supposition, but I'm very certain that what must have happened in the ensuing years is that the township came up with a different zoning that required a more stricter setback. But again, it is interesting that the original house was built with the 30-foot setback, and it's been there, and it's been part of the neighborhood for 70 years. So if I may continue to the reasons for the justifications for the C1 variance, which is what we're going to be attempting to justify here. Just to reiterate statutorily what we need to do, we need to, the board may grant a variance to allow a departure from the regulations when there's been a showing of peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties to, or exceptional and undue hardship upon the applicant rising out of A, the exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, B, by reason of exceptional topographic conditions or by physical features uniquely affecting a specific piece of property, or C, by reason of an extraordinary or exceptional situation uniquely affecting a specific piece of property, or the structure is lawfully existing thereon. So under A, by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property, you can see that the subject property is a corner lot, as I keep mentioning, has two frontages, the unusual trapezoidal shape. You heard me describe when the setbacks from the sides, rear, and front are offset and applied to the lot. The offset lines leave a small and almost unworkable building envelope. And then I'll also use C as a justification. By reason of extraordinary situation uniquely affecting a specific piece of property, the strict application of any regulation pursuant to Article 8 of the Act would result in a peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties to, or exceptional and undue hardship upon the developer of such a property, et cetera. The property was developed with an older original 1950 dwelling, which was built on a slab, is oriented in an unappealing manner towards both streets, and is non-conforming as to setbacks. Again, applying the zoning strictly, the setback lines would constitute an exceptional practical difficulty to the objective of building a modern and attractive new home. So that being said, if granted, the proposed project satisfies the negative criteria also, because the variances can be granted without detriment to the public good. In this case, the public good can be defined as the potential impact to our neighbors. First of all, the house will be set back further from the streets than the current house is. Roof drainage will be put into underground piping and discharged away from neighboring properties, and the property will be graded appropriately. The neighborhood will benefit from the attractive new architectural design. We're building a new modern home that's going to be built to the latest building codes, and including the new energy efficiency standards that apply to all new homes. We're not proposing to remove any mature trees at this time, and therefore I conclude that there are no detriments to the public good by the approval of this proposal. And as far as the variances being granted, in my opinion, the granting of these variances would not impair the intent and purpose of the zoning regulations or the master plan. I mentioned the master plan before. The goals of the master plan are, there's 3 goals in section 2. To preserve and enhance the primarily residential character of the community. 2, to maintain and balance the balance of residential, business, and public uses. And 3, to preserve and improve the quality of life. Well, my contention is that this proposal furthers all 3 of those goals. And that's because this is a single-family residential zone. We are proposing a single-family building, quite simply, and we're going to build a beautiful house for the enjoyment of current and future residents. We do nothing to change the balance of business and residential and other uses in the town. And as far as the 3rd goal, I feel that we further that too, in that we are improving the quality of life because we're replacing an older, outdated home that has achieved its useful lifespan with a brand-new home with new landscaping and all the features that come with it. So therefore, it's my professional opinion that this proposed improvement will advance the goals and recommendations of the master plan, and they can be granted without substantially impairing the intent and purposes of the zoning or the master plan.
Thank you.
Okay. Does anyone on the board have any questions on any of the 3 hats he's wearing?
Thank you so much. I just have a couple of questions. First of all, so it's an oversized lot, and I just want you to know that I appreciate the fact that the footprint of the house is smaller. The actual proposed house is smaller than the existing footprint of the house, so I appreciate that. And it is a corner lot, so it does give you more space, but I do, like I said, I appreciate the fact that the house is smaller, but much taller. So with it being taller, can you talk a little bit about the attic space? It looks to me like it's pretty high, and I'm just wondering if you can just talk about that a little bit.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I realized one sheet that we submitted we didn't talk about. But that, yes, we have the attic space, and it really is meant to be we really haven't designed anything. It's not meant as any kind of living area or anything.
How tall is the attic?
I'm going to give you an answer if, hold on, I thought I was zooming in here. I can't tell you specifically, and if I had my paper copy of it, which I have over there, I could scale it. But it's something in the neighborhood. We have 32 feet from the first floor to the top of the ridge, and 35 is allowed. And the 32 feet would also include, obviously, down to the grade. But that component is 32, and we have 9-foot and 8-foot ceilings. So we have 10 feet plus 19 feet. So it's more than 10 feet high.
It's pretty tall for an attic. Are there stairs that pull down? How do you get up there?
We have pull-down stairs.
Pull down stairs, okay. Okay.
I'm going to follow on that too. I mean, the topographical layout of Melrose goes down, right?
Correct.
To me, this looks like the people who are downstream, if you want to call it, are going to up and see this very large, I mean, beautiful house, but with a very, very large roof that's about a third of the height, or more than a third of the height. I had done a quick measurement, and I got 12'7" from the attic floor.
Yeah, I have no
So
reason to
that's
dispute that.
v-
Yeah, I'm
I
sorry I
mean-
can't provide you with the precise number.
Yeah, that seems excessive to me. Anybody have more comments?
Yeah, I absolutely concur that. I think the height of the ceiling and the attic space is excessive. I also have another question. So just to wrap, yes, I concur with my fellow board members on the attic size. Leveraging on the conversation about the downslope, I think you mentioned that in your earlier review of the grading
Yes,
and the
sir.
drainage system. What will be taken, what steps will be taken to make sure that the properties downhill are not adversely impacted? You mentioned some grading of some parts of the lot.
Yes,
So
well,
if you can help us understand that, please.
yeah, let me try to explain. What we did was, you can see the contours here. These are the proposed contours, and we are cognizant that the neighbor here up on Melrose is, down gradient. So what we proposed to do was to create this swale. We'll create the swale that'll keep the water and direct it towards Melrose, rather than directing it to the adjacent lot. And further helping that, again, is I'm sorry about that, different than my computer, is the fact that we have the roof drains, the roof leaders are in underground, and then it's going to discharge. And I will point out that the existing contours and the existing drainage pattern does have quite a bit, you can see they're a little light, but we do have these contours here that the water currently is flowing down onto that lot. So what we're trying to do is intercept a lot of that. We're not trying to just say, well, the existing drainage pattern goes that way, so, so be it. What we tried to do was make a conscious effort here to direct the water into the swale and away from that lower property.
So in your professional opinion, that should not increase any negative impact on the properties downstream?
Correct. My professional opinion is if this grading and drainage plan that we have proposed here is implemented and done, that there will be less of an impact on the lower gradient property.
Thank you.
I have another question. So the outside stairs going into the basement, I'm just confused a little bit about that. That's not something that normally is done. And the way that, the house is beautiful, but I think with the finished basement, and then the 12-foot ceilings up in the attic, it seems to me like there could be 4 floors of habitable floor. I'm sorry, what? Did you want to?
My client is willing to reduce the size of the attic, if you'd like, down to 8 feet as a stipulation, if that pleases the
I'd like to
board.
hear from anybody else on the board about that? Reducing, what she said, the client's willing to reduce the height of the attic. Does that satisfy people? Any comments?
I think that would look better because the house is wonderful. It's just that the attic is huge in front.
Yep, I actually just kind of hearing your comments and looking at it, truthfully, just from like a visual standpoint, I think it does kind of look weird that the attic is a little, the ridge is a little high. Normally, when I like even my house, I like a nice 8-foot attic just to kind of match the second floor height so that the roof isn't necessarily taller than the height of the second floor. That was an oversight. That was just, I just kind of noticed it when you brought it to my attention. So thank you.
And then maybe just talk, so was there a reason for having the outside stairs into the basement?
Well, just, I found that, people like to have a walkout many times if they have people outside. And in the future, if somebody wants to finish a basement and put a bathroom in there, they want to have the access from the, if they have a barbecue outside, do you really want to have all your guests going inside your house with your shoes on? So we kind of preemptively designed a walkout so families can utilize that for guests and events and things like that.
One more, in addition to the attic and the drainage that has already been asked, the front setback is existing non-conforming. Is it similarly the same case with the adjacent properties? Are we in line with the adjacent properties?
Yeah. So I did speak with Michelle, the zoning officer, about potentially using an established setback. And that's when we've learned, and I spoke with Marty as well, that because of the corner lot, it is not something that is available to us. But we did go out there preemptively and measure the 3 lots to the side. I have those measurements, but they have not been officially confirmed by Michelle or any official, so we did not submit those. But those, if you would want the unofficial ones, I'm happy to provide those.
As an approximate, we could give you an approximation. Is that what
Yeah.
you're just trying to get an idea of where the other?
Approximation is fine.
Yeah, so Charlie, I think I emailed those to you and texted you those.
Oh,
The approximate?
Yeah, I just don't have-
You just want to get an idea of where the
Okay.
other front
Yeah.
of the other houses line
Sure.
up.
Yeah, so,
Okay, yes. A little chilly up here. We're like under attack constantly.
Glad I wore my sweater.
A meat locker up here.
His nose is running.
Anyone in the audience has hot chocolate will be appreciated.
Okay, so we have the approximate comparable setbacks.
yep. And these were shot with a laser from the curb to the most closest point of the dwellings. So 6 Melrose from the curb to the house is at 45.5. And that includes a 10-foot right-of-way, so the setback, the real setback is 35.5. 8 Melrose is at 48, inclusive of that 10-foot right-of-way, so that puts it at 38. And 10 Melrose is at 46, with a 10-foot right-of-way, puts it at 36.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm just going to tack on, oh, go ahead, please.
Just going back to those outside stairs for a second. I know you have the drainage for the site, for the downspouts, but seeing how the outside stairs can't be covered, how are you accounting for any drainage to the out? Because that definitely looks like it's way lower than the 7 feet. from
correct,
the-
yeah. Let me tell you, so what we are going to do, and we're actually required to do by the building code, is we need to provide a foundation drainage system. So any window or door wells, have to have their own drainage system. So what we'll do is we'll have a drain at the bottom of those stairs. So any water that does get in there, rainwater or anything that falls in there, gets basically pumped up and goes into the same pipe as the roof leaders, and gets taken away from the side of the foundation. And then let me point out too that the exterior stairs, that wall would be slightly higher than grade. So it's like surface water can't be directed into the basement. Of course, we want to prevent that type of thing. So it'll be designed so that the surface water flow will be directed away from the stairs and from the building.
I have a question. the roof leaders, where are you going to be underground? Where are you connecting it to, or is it going to pushing it out on the street?
Yeah, I'll show you where we have it designed on the grading and utility plan. We have the underground roof leaders, and they discharge at this location closer to the street.
And that'll be copied by taken care of by the engineering department anyway.
Sure,
they'll ensure that.
if the engineering review or the building department review required something different, we would, of course, we're going to have to comply one way or another, so,
Great.
sure.
One comment on the stairs. There is always a background concern that becomes an apartment, so I assume there's no problem with certifying that will not happen, that it's not going to be a separate, we can put that as part of the resolution?
Put that as a condition.
Yes. Any questions for the three people standing there? From the public?
I guess you're talking to me.
What was it? It's still a question. We can still,
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Okay, great. Come on forward, please.
Say anything or you want me to? Absolutely. My good neighbors across the street.
okay. Just, if you please just state your name again for the record?
Sure. My name is Edmund, and the last name is Banite, the J is silent. And I'm very much honored to be before you today. And thank you to the architect. Apparently, you're my alma mater. I went to NJIT. Just I graduated early before you. You have gray hair, don't I?
Well, that's another story.
Anyway, let me start from the proposed site plan.
Okay.
No, stay there. What is behind on the right side towards the back? Yeah.
Well, this is an unimproved area, and we.
No. The L form that you have over there. Is that the patio?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, and
Yeah,
I think I'm glad you mentioned it, because I think I neglected to mention that we were proposing a patio.
And that patio is on the side of the building now, because the front of the building is facing Melrose.
Correct.
And the garage entrance is facing Fellswood.
Yes.
Okay. Look, it's a very, should I say, compressed site, okay? It's a very difficult site, and he's right. It's more of a trapezium, the trapezium, rather. And I admire the efforts that he made to position the building that really improved what is there right now. There's no question that his siting, works well. The only thing I would say is that the rationale.
I hate to interrupt you.
Sure.
But right now, you can ask questions.
Okay,
You have
sure.
an opportunity to.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is linked to my question.
Okay, fine.
Okay, please. My question is why did you change the front from Fellswood to Melrose?
Oh, well, I can answer that. The envelope that we could build in was even more constrained if we tried to face it to Fellswood. And that's because you can see that the dimension is less and starts to become more constrained. And if you drew those setback lines, offset from here, the 40 feet offset off here, and the 35 over here, you're also going to be, and forgive me, I don't have the topography on, I have it on the other plan. You see, the topography is such that then now we're going to be fighting against this downhill. So we'd be putting the house, can you imagine, like almost like into a slope. So by facing it to Melrose, we were able to A, get a better building envelope, and B, we were able to not disturb the natural topography of the lot to the same extent if we did it the other way. And I'll point out too, I mean, I know you heard me say it a bunch of times, but the house didn't face either way, so it's not like we changed it from Fellswood to Melrose necessarily, despite the mailing address. It really faced, you know, I mean, if you look at it, you really can't tell which way. Did it face this way or did it face that way? And I don't know that the driveway going one way or the other really makes that clear either.
I have some more questions. Can you go back to that?
The site plan?
Engineering site plan.
Sure.
Where you have the swell.
Oh, yeah, the grading plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
With what you're showing there, do you really believe that that water will come around or that water will be emptying into Melrose?
Yeah, I do, because, again, we made the swale, we believe we made it, you know, sufficiently deep, you know, but you could tell by the contours being like pointed like that, we made them sufficiently deep that the water will flow. And again, as I explained before, the existing drainage pattern is that the water flows onto the neighboring property. So by making less water flow onto the neighboring property, we're making the situation better. Right now, today, if you went out there in a rainstorm, the rain would be flowing down there. And our swale is going to direct a significant amount of the water away. And then furthermore, we're going to be putting the water into the pipes from the roof, from the entire roof area. And we're going to have, you know, new grass, which is going to, new grass and new landscaping as opposed to what's there now, which is, so it's going to be in a better condition and serve to reduce any uncontrolled stormwater flows.
My last question is that since you are facing Fellswood now, which is basically the address, with the side, is there a possibility of articulating that facade facing Fellswood other than what you have?
Oh, okay. Well, let me show you what we have. And what we tried to do, you know, we didn't do a rendering. But as you can see, let me scroll this over.
To the right.
This is the one facing. And you know what? We are pulling that material, the stone base, we're not just stopping it at the corner on the front of the house. So we're bringing that all the way around the side. And as I also mentioned in my testimony, we're going to be doing a hardy plank siding. And when you look at the right side elevation, I'll tell you, you're a brother architect, but I'll humbly say that the way we design this is that there's architectural interest to the side of the house, and it's not just a simple facade or a plain wall or anything like that. We have nice windows, we have multiple gable roofs, we have this lower roof, which really breaks up the massing of the house. So my feeling is that we're providing a very attractive visual appeal from Fellswood.
All right, I don't want to take so much time, but that's my questions. That if you may allow, if I can come back and make a
Yeah, you'll be
statement.
able to come back. And
Thank
just so you rest assured, the drainage issue, as I noted, we have a memorandum from engineering, and they talk about it.
Absolutely,
It's
yeah.
always covered, so it will be taken care of.
Sure.
Are there other questions? Come on up. You just state your name?
Paul Moritzen, I'm at 69 Fellswood Drive, across the street. And when they say that it was a rundown old house, I knew that house very well. It was beautiful. But that's besides the point. This is going to be very nice. I just had one question. Right now, the driveway is on Fellswood. It's going to be on Fellswood. And there's a fire hydrant and a drain very close to the current driveway. The new one's going to be wider. I just want to know if there's going to be impact.
Yeah, I'm going to answer that question, sir. My drainage and utility plan, I believe shows all these improvements. We have the fire hydrant located on our plans, and there's no need for it to be moved or anything like that. And there's an existing, did you ask about the drainage? Yeah, there's an inlet out in Fellswood. And then in comparison to the existing, you can see where these things are. So the existing driveway is very close to that fire hydrant. We're actually pulling it a little bit up Fellswood. And you can compare and contrast the locations in the two different images. Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anybody else have any questions? Keep on coming.
Hi, I'm Virginia Morrison. I'm at 69 Fellswood Drive, across the street from 71. I just would like to, we think it's a beautiful house to look at, so for it to be shifted to Melrose, we just ask that you keep in consideration that we would like to have something beautiful to look at in the future. And I was also wondering what that, like a long,
On this plan?
on the picture, on the slide, is that a sidewalk that goes from the?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. to the-
Yeah, I should have described that a little better. That's a sidewalk, so it's just like a paver sidewalk that goes from the front yard to the, from the front porch to the driveway.
Okay, so because it's such a steep slope in front of the house, I was wondering that you're taking that into consideration also.
Yes, what we're doing is, and you can see the heavier contour lines are where we're regrading. Okay, so the heavier contour lines we're regrading, and the sidewalk is basically going to be pretty flat. The area where it is, so it's almost like we're building like a flat area where the house is going to be. You step down, 2 or 3 steps, from the porch to the sidewalk, and the garage entrance is 3.5 feet down from the first floor. So, it's a few steps down, and this slopes, I think, a little bit down to the driveway, and but it is going to be relatively flat, and then it slopes down to Melrose.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else in the public? Any other questions arise from the board?
I have
Yes, please.
The porch in the back, it's not going to be covered, right?
No, the patio, no,
Patio,
it's just
sorry.
meant to be, there's like an open patio.
Just one, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. One more. The house next to this house on Melrose, it's been abandoned for several years. So I was wondering, what kind of consideration you're taking with this other house that's going to be built up, probably, 2 stories also. Is anybody aware of that?
So I actually spoke with there's a for sale sign, I think, in front of that house. I did speak with the agent Samantha. She's out of the Short Hills office. She said she doesn't know what the builder's plan is for that. I tried to find out. In fact, I asked her if I could purchase that property as well, because I noticed that it's sort of an eyesore in the community, and I was hoping to alleviate that, but there was no appetite to do that either. So I did make an effort to reach out to them, and quite honestly, I'll probably follow up just to see what's going on with that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I think we got that. All right. Does anybody on the board want to make a comment?
I'll make one quick one. I think you heard from 2 different questions. When the house turned towards Melrose, the neighbors on Fellswood are trying to get a sense, and it's more of a generic question. We're not trying to redesign, but the sense that the neighbors are expressing is that this is now the side of the house facing towards the home, towards their homes. So from your professional architectural view, are there any improvements or any changes or any that you can highlight? And and talk about, which will be not like a, you know, okay, a garage facing to somebody, and a couple of questions were there. So I'm just curious, is there anything that you are thinking about?
Well, let me go back. I mean, you heard my answer to the gentleman. As far as adding, I did mention that in my testimony that we were going to have a carriage-style garage door, which I think fits in with the character of the house, and Camille and I have used on other projects. Again, I could reiterate, if that's the question you're asking me, that I do think we have an attractive right side elevation. I mean, I think all the elevations are pretty nice, but I think in particular, let me zoom out a little. You know, if you look at, I don't want to downplay the left and the rear, but if you look at the right side and the front elevation, you could see and this is a 2D drawing, you know, and I apologize that I didn't provide a rendering, and I think that would have probably answered a lot of questions. But as you can see from the 4 elevations together, there was definitely more care given to the elevations that face the streets.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make a quick comment that I support this application. I think it's a very unusually shaped lot, and I think you did a good job with working with under tough conditions. Appreciate the 2-foot drop down of the roof, but you know, what else is left to be said? I think your testimony was really thorough, so thank you.
Thank you.
And I think, Ms. McGovern, I forgot to let you have a closing statement.
Did you call for public comment? I didn't know whether this.
Public comment first? Okay, so I'm sorry, then public comment, or are you good?
No, listen, I will commend the architect.
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I thought my voice was so loud, everybody could hear me. Listen, I have to commend the architect. I just hope that he can articulate that first wood facade a little bit more. I strongly believe that something could be done, but I don't want to hold it against your vote, please. He did a wonderful job, and I must commend him for that. That's what I have to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'll be brief.
I just want to ask just one quick thing. You said you're going to lower the roof. Can you come up with a number?
8 foot.
It'll be 8 foot from top of
It'll be 8 foot to the ridge from the attic floor.
Perfect. Okay. Please.
Thank you. We're here for C variances based upon, and I won't beat this any longer, due to the fact that it's a corner lot and it's a trapezial-shaped property with topography. We're improving the drainage, we're improving the look of the home. It's beautiful on both sides that face the street. And I believe we satisfied all of the criteria under the MLUL. And so with that, I would request that the board grant all the variances. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve.
Mr. Affronti, and second, anybody? She beat you.
Okay, Mr. Affronti,
Yes.
Ms. Khanna,
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Bhuptani,
Yes.
Mr. Kenya,
Yes.
Ms. Marash,
Yes.
and Mr. Beer.
Yes, I'll just add, we had the 2 stipulations, right, the 2 conditions. The 8
Yes,
foot
that
and the,
basement won't be used as a.
Correct.
And also, I just want to say, Ms. Madry, so on the agenda, the right rear yard setback, it should be 30.3 proposed, not 30.1. Okay.
Ms. Hollis, I will get you that one exhibit that we.
great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And this time, we're going to take a 5-minute break. No.
You should go find firewood.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for giving us a few minutes here. And sorry this is taking so long. Would you call the next application, please, Ms. Khan?
Yes. Block 3502, Lot 28, 45 Shadow Lawn Drive, application number 2023-54-V. Helena Friedman, applicant seeks approval for a first-floor addition and addition over the garage in violation of the following sections: 170-98C2, established front yard setback, 42.1 feet allowed, 40.3 feet proposed, 1.8 feet variance requested. 170-87CC3, habitable floor ratio, 21% allowed, 22.5% proposed, 1.55% variance requested.
Thank you. Please.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Elizabeth Durkin from the Durkin firm on behalf of the applicant, Helena Friedman. Just a little housekeeping. This is the first time we're appearing on this application. I just want to confirm that the application has been deemed complete.
Ms. Hollis?
Yes. Thank you so much. This evening, the application that I have before you is just a minor, literally 55 square feet addition, what we're talking about for the relief in front of this board, to a single-family home that my client, Helena Friedman, and her husband and their children reside at. I have two witnesses with me this evening. I have our architect and our engineer. I don't know if the board would like to qualify them as they each come up, or would you like to do them together? Yeah, okay, interested. Okay, so our first witness is going to be the engineer, so we can ask him to raise his right hand. And then also the second is the architect, if you want to both be sworn in, and then I can qualify them, Mr. Jem, if that's good for you.
Please.
Great.
Architect? Engineer, architect.
Sorry, I got you confused. Gentlemen, do you swear or affirm that all the testimony you're going to give today and the statements you make the board is true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
All right.
Whoever wants to go first with their credentials?
Yep, I will go with the engineer first, if that's okay.
Okay.
Mr. DeVizio, would you be so kind as to state your name for the record and spell your last name?
All right, that's Anthony DeVizio. Last name is D like dog, E, capital V-I-Z-I-O.
And where are your offices located?
14 East Normal Avenue, Upper Montclair, 07043.
And Mr. DeVizio, are you a licensed engineer licensed in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
And for how long have you held your license?
I was licensed for engineering in 2007.
And have you been qualified to testify as a professional engineer before other land use boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes.
And is your license current as we speak today?
Yes.
And are you the engineer who prepared the plans that are the subject of this application?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I respectfully request that you accept the qualifications of Mr. DeVizio as a professional engineer to testify on behalf of this application this evening.
Can I just ask your education?
Education, bachelor's degrees in civil engineering and land surveying from NJIT, 2003 and 2009.
Great. Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness?
And
There
then I'll
being no
go-
objection, the witness is accepted as an expert in engineering.
Thank you so much. And then I'll just qualify our architect, Mr. Sergio Savaria. Would you be so kind as to state your name for the record and spell your last name?
My name is Sergio J. Chavaria. Last name is spelled C-H-A, V as in Victor, A-R-R-I-A.
And Mr. Savaria, where are your offices located?
20 Crestview Drive in Stanhope, New Jersey.
Okay. And are you a licensed architect licensed in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
And when did you obtain your license? What year?
In 2003.
And what was your undergraduate degree?
Bachelor's of Architecture in NJIT, class of 1991.
Okay, thank you very much. And have you qualified as an architect to testify before other land use boards in the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And are you the architect who prepared the plans that are the subject of this application?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I respectfully request that you accept the qualifications of Mr. Chavaria to testify as an architect this evening on behalf of this application.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objection, the witness is accepted as an expert in architecture.
Okay, terrific. Thank you so much. And we know it's late, and you have, we thank you very much for hearing us, and we know
Thank
you
you.
have a couple other applications after us, so I'll just go as as expeditiously as possible on the application. As I said, the property is already improved as a single-family home that my client and her family reside at the home. The home was constructed in 1955. It's a split level. It just needs a few little renovations. My client wants to stay in the home, loves the neighborhood, loves her property, loves her brook in the back. And one of the difficulties with the home is there's no powder room on the first floor. So the renovations this evening, we'll have the engineer go on first just to give you the lay of the property. There are no significant issues. We did review your engineer's report, and we'll just go over that. And then the architect will come in and just walk you through the proposed plans, if that's acceptable to the board.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Mr. DeVizio?
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Thank you again for having us. Aim to be brief. This application was guided primarily by the building elements, so I would defer to the architect on those matters primarily. Major scope is we have two small bump outs at the front of the building, one being a proposed powder room, another one being an architectural bump out for symmetry, and there'll be a bedroom at a level over the garage, and that will not result in any additional footprint. Addition in footprint from the front bump outs will be 55 square feet, which in our opinion is de minimis. The lot overall is gradually sloping. There's no proposed change of grades. We're going to meet existing grades all around. There is a flood hazard area on the property. However, that's to the rear of the building. No work at all is proposed within the flood hazard area. It all falls outside of the design flood elevation as prescribed by NJDEP's rules as well. I'll go down the engineer's comments also for everybody's benefit.
And just for the reference, that's the November 28th, 2023 report issued by the board's engineer, correct, Mr. DeVizio?
Correct.
Okay.
Going down the points in line, the first one reiterates that the work is in fact outside of the flood hazard area. That is correct. There are no municipal easements on the property. That is correct as well. The property is not listed in ordinance number 24-2009 as containing precautionary or prohibitive slopes. That is correct as well. Impervious coverage, again, we're looking at 55 square feet, which is de minimis in my opinion. The municipal code appears to apply heavily to major developments. We're well under the threshold of any major development. Roof runoff currently discharges on site from the leaders. You'll get infiltration into the ground to some degree from that. The same is proposed for the additional footprint for those bump outs. They would tie into the existing gutters as possible, discharge to the surface of the lot, and you'll get some natural infiltration without any need for any kind of stormwater management. Engineer also mentions that lot surface drainage permit shall be amended. There is one in place already from some prior work that was approved. That will be amended accordingly. Again, we anticipate no stormwater structural measures required. Any new pipe discharges are to be shown on the plans. Again, we do not anticipate any intent is to tie into existing gutters and downspouts. And then again, I'm sorry, the last point also is the lot surface drainage permit, which needs to be amended with the any current work or any additional work as approved tonight, and that will be appropriately amended. I really don't have much else. I mean, again, I thought it was pretty de minimis from a site planning perspective. Happy to answer any questions.
Anybody on the board, any questions? Anybody in the public have any questions for this witness? Oh, okay.
Thank you so much. I'm going to ask the architect. Well, okay, put your plans up.
I'll first start with the floor plans, because that's basically where we're going to discuss most of
And just for the record, these are the existing?
No, well, we'll just focus on the additions to the powder room and why we're proposing this. So I'll describe basically what the existing house has. So it's an existing split-level, two-story house, detached one family with attached two-car garage. has existing 4 bedrooms, 4 full baths, and a 2-car attached garage. So the split level is front to back. So at the entry level, you have basically living space, dining space, and a kitchen. So as you enter towards the middle of the floor plan, you would enter and either go down or up. At the rear of the house, rear lower level, you have a family room, laundry space, a full bath, and a mechanical space. The rear upper level houses the 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. The front upper level, which is above the existing kitchen, which would be this area, directly above that, has an additional bedroom and bathroom. So currently, the plan has no powder room, so the proposal is to add a new powder room directly off the left side of the existing porch, proposed porch. On the opposite side of that, facing the dining room space, there's a bump out that basically has some symmetry to the elevation. So I'll go to the elevation now that kind of shows you where the front door is. The left side is the powder room bump out. The right side is the living room, the dining room bump out. So that's the proposal for the powder room and the bump out of the dining room space. The existing upper level principal bedroom and bathroom are grossly undersized to today's standards. So this bedroom is going to be enlarged by removing the existing bathroom and closet. To the left, directly above the 2-car garage, which is this space here, directly above this would be adding a level above the 2-car garage to house the new principal bathroom and a large walk-in closet to the front of the property. That's where we're exceeding the habitable floor area by a minimal amount. The proportions of those spaces are relatively required to be, properly sized based on the size of this house. So in my opinion, that's basically the correct proportion for the bathroom and the walk-in closet to bring it up to more modern standards. So that's basically the extent of the requirements that we're asking for the 2 variances.
So, Mr. Treverio, so it's correct, there is no powder room now in the
There
home,
is,
correct?
correct. There is no powder room on the entry level. Right now, there's 4 full bathrooms. So if you have a guest coming to the house, they either have to go up to the bedroom level or down to the family room level, which is tucked away in the back of the house. So it's not really a practical layout per today's standards.
And the proposed, there's 2 variances that the applicant is seeking relief before this board this evening, as you're aware, correct? The front yard setback?
That's correct.
As a result of the bump out, as you said, for the proposed powder room?
Correct.
Is that correct?
It's
And-
1.8 feet.
Yeah, so less than 2 feet,
Right.
correct? And then also on the habitable floor ratio, it's just an increase of a de minimisly of 1.55%, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and in reviewing the plans with the client and looking at the home as it exists now, was there any way that you could eliminate either one of those variance being requested?
Not really. The proportion to the master or the principal bathroom and the closet would be too small relative to the size of this house.
And then, obviously, you've also reviewed this home and also the neighborhood. You're aware of the neighborhood, correct?
Yes, in keeping with the neighborhood, the house right now as a split level, it's low, so the original house looks like a ranch, and then surrounding houses are almost twice the size, effectively, what they look like.
So the proposed addition, in your opinion, would fit in with the character and scheme of the neighborhood?
Correct. It would be more in keeping. We're planning on putting asphalt shingles, hardy plank siding, and keeping it more, contextual with the surrounding neighboring homes.
Okay, thank you very much. I have no further questions of this witness.
Anybody on the board have any questions?
I have
Yeah,
a
I just-
question.
Oh, go ahead.
As I drove past the property, I noticed that the construction on one side of the house is already there. The second level has been constructed, and the garage, of course, is what you're asking for. So when you applied for the previous construction, was the garage not factored in at that time? Was that an afterthought?
No, it was planned, but it could stand on its own the way it is. But it's grossly undersized to today's standards.
Okay, because the other half of the construction is done, right, on the right-hand side?
Correct.
As I'm facing the property?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. My question is, you say for the half bath, you're gonna have a bump out, and that's why you're taking the variance? Are you trying to make it symmetrical with the bump out with the dining room?
Correct.
So it's on the same, it's not like going ahead or moving forward or is it on the
No, you
same
can
line?
see on the plan, they basically align.
Okay,
see.
making it more symmetrical.
I'm sorry?
Are you making it more symmetrical, basically?
Yes. So let me go to the elevation to show you that. So in an elevation, basically looks the same. Currently, the front porch, the lower profile of the front roof is constructed, so in this addition, if it's approved, it would be, the second layer of the roof behind the main porch would be constructed.
Let me ask, so Phase 2 is, forget this part of the application, Phase 2 is scheduled to be built, not scheduled to be built? What's the, because I'm looking at the plans and the whole.
This would be Phase 2 if it's approved.
Okay. And in the middle, you have a triangular window,
Correct.
and when I drove past, it looks totally different.
That's Phase 1. The drawings are submitted for approval, but that has no impact with the variance.
No, I realize that. I'm just trying to understand why there's like a whole structure over that. Is that a high, is it a high ceiling? Is it, what's, it's not?
Yeah, it's a dormer, basically an open dormer.
All right, because it goes up about, looks
So
like 10 feet or so.
it's about 12 feet.
So that's,
So it's directly above this space here. In lieu of that brow window, let's call it.
sure.
It's a larger dormer. We wanted to get a larger effect of daylight in there. But it doesn't impact any floor area ratio or building height.
Understood. Was that though approved through the engineering? Was that change followed through?
That's changed under the current permit that's under construction.
So it's been noted by the engineering? They know that?
Yes.
Okay, that's why I was just concerned, because when I drove past, I was like, it looks a little different. Or maybe a lot different. So I want to make sure there was no issue there. Okay.
So I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm confused. So when you did the first plan, this part of the plan was not part of it. So is it an afterthought? I mean, it's fine if it is, but I'm just wondering, so the first part was done and you're working on that, and it's, now there's this. So this is the second part that's not part of the first application. So is that correct?
It's not an afterthought. It's that we wanted to proceed with the construction in parallel with filing an application that would hopefully be approved.
Okay. Okay.
I was going to confirm that. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
Okay, I just wanted, because I was just a little unclear.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
Because my clients live there. They live in the house. They've
living
had
through-
to move out
You're living
during
through this?
construction,
No,
but
you've
that's,
moved out of the house. You're not in there right now.
right, but this is their home. That's
Okay.
why.
What is the building height?
Sorry?
What is the height of the building?
We're under the maximum. I believe the
It shows you
largest
on
is
the-
32, slightly over 32 feet.
They came back on. I think the air conditioning.
Are there any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All right. Does anyone want to make a comment? Oh, go, please.
Ms. Durkin, is it possible for the architect to give us some comment on the C variance and as well as the D4?
Sure. I'm going to have the architect or the engineer, if you're not comfortable.
Or anybody?
Okay, yeah, so obviously, we can testify to this, is that we're asking for the flexible C2 variance, and also this falls under the a D4 variance for the floor area ratio. And as both of the experts have testified, and we don't mean this in demeaning the relief that we're requesting before the board, but in a legal sense, this is de minimis. What was being sought here is 55 square feet to a single-family home in a single-family zone. So obviously, it's a permitted use in the zone. The home with this, as the architect testified, no one's even really going to notice the bump out. My client lives there with her family, as we've stated. They love their neighborhood. They love their home. They're obviously taking great expense to add an addition, these additions to their home because their children are getting older now. They're in college. And they would like to have, people over, and they need a powder room on the first floor. And so I said, so from a legal standpoint, these are de minimis, and obviously, we meet the positive and the negative criteria. I mean, we don't even need to really review the negative. This board has heard it, I know, many times, but even sitting in the audience tonight, I know you've heard of it 4 or 5 other times before this one. Obviously, when it's not, the relief we're seeking is not a substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the master plan and zoning ordinances because it's a single-family home in a single-family zone. And obviously, because we're constrained by, there's an existing structure of the single-family home that is on this lot, and I think my clients have done great pain with speaking to their engineer and their architect to make the addition as small as they possibly can and still be able to get what they would like to for 2024 living standards. Because I can quite frankly tell you, from somebody who does this a lot, and I've had the great pleasure of representing Helena and her husband Moshe for many years. I said, seriously, you want to go for a variance for 55 square feet? But Helena loves the home and made it as little intrusive as she possibly could. And through your engineering report, as I said, there's no comments from your engineering report either. It's just, items, conditions that we have to do, in obtaining any of the building permits. So, Mr. Jemis, hopefully that satisfies your.
Yeah, so that the testimony presented by the experts, the purposes of the municipal land use law would be advanced by this deviation because it's de minimis. And the benefit from the deviation would substantially outweigh any detriment.
Most definitely.
Huh?
Most definitely. That's
All
the
right.
testimony that was given this evening.
And then with regard to the D4, it's of no significant impact on the community. It's going to be de minimis, correct?
Zero. It's an improvement. There's no negative to this application.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
I've got
you.
to write the resolution.
Thank you,
so
Mr.
I wanna make
Jemis.
sure I got something in.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the board? David, I say? Any comments from the public? Okay, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Aye.
So I'll make the motion to approve it. This is a good addition and, kind of brings the evenness in the front, so.
Okay.
Second.
Mr. Kenya?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna?
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Bhuttani?
Yes.
Mr. Affronti?
Yes.
Ms. Marash?
Yes.
And Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Wanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. You can say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, what's time? We call the next application, please. Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Block 2906, Lot 22, 1 Cathay Drive, application number 2023-55-V, Gil and Rachel Naiman. Applicant seeks approval for a 2-story rear addition and deck in violation of the following sections: 170-87CC3 habitable floor ratio, 21% allowed, 24% proposed, 3% variance requested.
Okay, welcome aboard. And you guys are the homeowners?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm Gil, this is Rachel.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. and Mrs., is it, sorry?
I'm Gil, this is Rachel.
There we go.
Mr. and Mrs. Naaman, do you have a professional with you to this evening?
Architect is up there.
Okay. So are you going to testify or just the architect?
I'm the architect.
All right. Your name, please,
Robert Emmert Jr.,
and your address?
184 South Livingston Avenue.
Mr. Emmert, do you swear or affirm that all the statements and testimony you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes.
Thank you. Consider yourself under oath. Would you be kindly explain your credentials to the board?
I am a registered architect in the state of New Jersey. I have graduated with a Bachelor of Environmental Science from the University of Kansas in 1982. Graduated with a Bachelor of Architecture in 1983. I'm currently licensed in New Jersey, Indiana, and Missouri. I'm a past president of the AIA in New Jersey, and I have testified before this board numerous times, as well as Summit, West Orange, Englewood, Teaneck.
And your license is in good standing, correct?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Chairman?
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as an expert in architecture. All yours.
Okay, we were here for one variance. It's the habitable floor area ratio, and 21% is allowed. We were asking for 24%. And let me just make this bigger. So this is the current property survey with the addition superimposed onto it, showing the proposed addition is this sort of aqua blue rectangle, and then to the right of that is the new proposed deck. So the current property is in
Excuse
an
me one
R3
second.
district.
Mr. Emmer, can you give a copy of that to Jackie, because it's colorized? It's A1? Because we don't have a colorized version, I don't think.
You do.
Sure.
We do? Oh, we do, that's right. I misplaced it in my file. Never mind.
Okay.
I got it, sorry.
All right, sure. All right, so it's in an R3 zone, and the existing lot is, significantly undersized for the zone that it's supposed to be in. It's 15,000 square feet required. This lot is 9,258. It's also, the lot width is 75.3 versus 100 required, and the lot depth is 125 versus the 150. So overall, it's just a much smaller lot than the R3 requires. But we worked, when we were going through the design, we worked in order to try to minimize any variances, and we kept it out of the side street west setback, the 25-foot setback over on the west lawn, because we were looking at one point to do a side addition. So we did all that. So really what we ended up with is a 10-foot expansion along the back of the house. And the back of the house in that area is the current kitchen and dining room. So really what we're doing is we're pushing the house back 10 feet. That 10-feet portion is going to be the kitchen. The kitchen and dining room right now is going to become the dining room. And then we are also expanding the second floor over the top of that. And with the same thing, because it's a current 2-bathroom house, and we were looking at possibly going to a 3-bathroom, doing a full bathroom off the primary bedroom. But, looking at the constraints we had, we said, no, let's keep it functional but minimal. So what we did is we made the existing hall bathroom significantly larger. It can be divided so somebody could be using the shower, the toilet area, close it off for somebody using the sink. just to make it functional for them, but in order to keep the addition to a to a minimum. So that's why we were able to keep, comply with that, even though it's a small lot, comply with the habitable floor area and just be slightly over on the floor area ratio. The other thing we did, and as you can see from here, is we really located the addition, the impact on the site to the center of the site to minimize the impact on the street of West Lawn, to minimize the impact on the neighbor to the right, who they're very good friends with, and just finished up an addition with them. And also, we're only going back 10 feet, so we have plenty of rear yard setback, so that really, is not an issue. The addition, the house currently is a cape, so it's one of these smaller houses in the neighborhood, because most of them are split levels or full two-story houses. So this addition has really very little impact. It very much is in keeping with the character. We're not doing anything blown out or anything too large. So it's really a nice, modest addition, but just improving the functionality for them for their day-to-day use. I mean, having a modern kitchen is just, very important. And then just having a slight, because it is a cape, the master, the primary bedroom has slope ceilings in certain areas, so we're able to alleviate that on the backside, because we liked the character of the cape. We kept the dormers, we kept the front, the character very much what it was, and just really took it out the back and extended the existing dormer out the back. So and as far as the D4 variance, there's really no negative impact. I mean, it's a minimal expansion. It is still, it's a single-family residence. It's a single-family use, so it's all in keeping with that. There's no, again, the addition is all really focused within the center of the lot, and it just, it helps the general character of the neighborhood.
Great, thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions?
The 10-foot addition in the back of the house is, it's a double-level addition, so there's something on the main level and then something above it?
Correct.
Correct.
It's, right, there's a kitchen on the first level. There's an existing bedroom in the cape, in the slope ceiling on the second level already, and we're just extending that bedroom out and that bathroom out.
So it's that, and then the deck, these...
And then the deck, there's an existing deck in the area where the kitchen addition is right now. And so we took it and, we moved it to the right to keep it behind the house and not try to push it farther into the backyard or farther into the west lawn setback.
Great, thank you.
And just to clarify on the deck, it's actually less intrusive than the existing one.
Correct.
By a half a foot, right.
I'll make a comment. So I'm familiar with this house in the street, and I know it's an undersized lot, and I think this is a great addition. It's perfect, keeping with the size of the house and with the size of your lot. I think it's very thoughtful, and I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
I will backtrack. Anybody in the public have any questions? Okay, any other comments? Anybody in the public have any comments? Anybody want to make a motion?
I can do it. All right, so we're not reading the blocks and everything, right?
No, just have to say you going for it.
Right. I think this is a beautiful, nice addition. I'm quite familiar with the neighborhood. This will add and enhance the home, to the home, and thank you for being transparent about the needs. And I motion to approve the application.
I second it.
Okay, Mr. Bhuktani.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Oh, we just have to do the roll. I know. It's exciting. I know, it's exciting. We're gonna make it official. Okay, Mr. Bhuktani.
Yes.
Mr. Kenya.
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Affronti?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna?
Yes.
Ms. Marash?
Yes.
And Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Motion passes. Congratulations.
I'm done.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Please call the next applicant.
Block 5701, Lot 22, 8 Winwood Road, application number 2023-61-V, West Hobart LLC. Applicant seeks approval to construct a new single-family residence in violation of the following section: 170-87 CC3, habitable floor ratio, 21% allowed, 28.92% proposed, 7.92% variance requested.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Matthew Posada. I'm from the law firm Sills, Cummins & Gross, and I represent the applicant, West Hobart LLC, in connection with this application for habitable floor area ratio. The applicant is here tonight proposing to demolish the existing single-family home, which is essentially a Cape Cod with a garage. And what they're looking to do there is propose a new single-family home itself. That single-family home that they are proposing will trigger the floor area ratio relief. However, this lot itself is significantly undersized. So in drafting the proposed plans, you'll see that we are not triggering any other variance relief but for that ratio. In addition, the floor area itself is significantly under what is permitted within the zone, about a little more than 700 square feet, so that the proposed single-family home is consistent with the idea of what the actual bulk measurements should be for the R3 zone. And although this is the R3 zone, you will see that based on the lot size itself, it's more of a R4 type of configuration. And if that were the case, there would be no relief. But if that were the case, I wouldn't have this job. So therefore, I'm glad there is that ratio variance. So for tonight, I'm going to have two professionals testifying. My first one will be Jose Cabello. He is my architect. And the second one will be Nick Raviano. He is our planner. And I also just want to make one quick comment that we are in receipt of the engineering memorandum dated January 11th of 2024, and we agree to fully comply with those conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Posada.
Thank you. So if I may, I'd like to just call my first witness.
Yes, I do.
Yep. Thank you so much. Jose, can you please provide us your educational credentials?
Absolutely. I graduated at NJIT with a Bachelor's of Architecture in 1981. I've been licensed since '86, and my license is as good as of today. I've appeared in front of this board previously, as well as probably about 100% of the boards in Hudson County, about 50% of the boards in Bergen County, and across, all across New Jersey. From Trenton, Newark, Patterson, Jersey City, et cetera.
Thank you. Does this board accept him as a qualified expert in architecture?
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? Can you just repeat your name again for the?
Sure. Jose Carballo, last name is C-A-R, B as in boy, A-L-L-O.
There be no objections. The witness is accepted as expert in architecture.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jose, are you familiar with the R3 zone?
Yes, I am.
And is the subject property located within the R3 zone?
Yes, it is.
And did you take a look at the municipality's zoning code for the R3 zone?
I certainly did.
And did you take that into consideration when drafting these proposed plans?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I'm not the architect of record on this project. I'm actually standing in for Mr. Giammarino, who couldn't be here tonight, but I have reviewed the plans. I've talked to Mr. Giammarino. I'm familiar with the proposal as well as the plans.
Excellent. Why don't you walk us through what we're proposing here tonight?
Absolutely. So what you see on the screen is the site plan for the property. As you can see, it's a smaller site, and it appears like somebody squeezed the middle of it and created a choke point somewhere along the middle of the property. So there exists a single family home on the property right now. It's a cape. It's a very small, it's actually about 900 square feet. And the proposal that we have here in front of you tonight is the demolition of that house and a new single-family home to be built on the site. The first charge was to minimize the number of variances that would be created with a smaller size lot as we have. And the architect was successful in creating a building that actually conforms to all the setbacks. It conforms to all the bulks except for one, which is the habitable floor area. At that point...
May I correct you, habitable floor area ratio, but the area itself is 700 square feet below what is
You are
permitted.
correct, Mr. Posada. It's the FAR of floor area ratio, in which is being exceeded by about 8 percentage points. From the 21, it's a little less than 29%. However, the house was designed in order to minimize all the other variances, and what you see from the site plan is a house that is deeper, that it is wider, which is something that doesn't really happen much if the lots were, the correct size. So the house is perpendicular to the street, again, maintaining all of the setbacks. Going to the floor plan, you're going to see that the floor plan has been minimized. In other words, it has been made as small as possible. You see all of the spaces, all of the bedrooms are just adequate spaces. There's nothing that is oversized. There's nothing that is so, overgrown or over-designed that, creates this variance. On the first floor, you're going to see that as soon as you come in, there's a foyer which is barely 10 foot wide. And it has the stair within it. So the space that you're walking in is barely 7 foot wide. The garage is less than 400 square feet. It's 19 foot wide by 20. So the architect, try to minimize all the spaces. There is a bedroom on the first floor, and basically that addresses the multi-generational use of the house. Parents, grandparents visiting, so on and so forth. You're also going to see that we have a rather small living room, dining room area, and a kitchen that is, while it's good size, is really not something that it's, just over-designed. If you look at the second floor, we have 4 more bedrooms on the second floor. Even the principal bedroom, it's really not that large. Again, all the spaces we're trying to be minimized just to cut down the size of the building. In the basement, we do have an office space. We do have a play area. And basically, that's what the house is. It's only about 2,700 square feet, which is short of the 3,200 maximum that can be built in town. So again, it was just an exercise in minimizing what was being proposed to the board, because we understand that the habitable floor area ratio was being exceeded. As far as the elevations, again, we comply with the height of the building, all the other setbacks. If you look at the upper left-hand corner of the drawing, you're going to see the front elevation, and you can see that that was articulated in such a way as to cut down the massing of the building. But even that elevation is a lot narrower than what it would have been if the lot was its normal width or the permitted width, the required width. So all in all, the house was designed to be as compact as possible, just to minimize all the the area that we're exceeding the FAR.
Great, thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Anyone on the board have any questions for this witness? Anybody in the public? Oh, yep, we have one in the public. Come on up. Please let us know your name and...
Good evening, board members. I'm Brad Sampson. I'm the owner of the house right next to number 8. I'm at 10 Wynwood Road.
That would be to your left as you look at the house?
As you stand near number 8, I'm to the left, yes.
Okay.
My question for the the witness here is there was a statement made about the January 11th engineering review document, and he stated clearly that they were going to meet the specifications of that document. Could he please give me a hint of how they're going to do that?
Sure, I'd be more than happy to opine on that. All the requests that are within that memo, and they're very limited, essentially they just concentrate on the lot drainage permit application process to make a determination of whether or not the stormwater will be accommodated on site and meet the state requirements. That ordinarily is a building permit requirement, which is noted in the engineering memorandum, and we're going to conform to that. And whatever this municipality requests from us in regards to lot drainage, we're going to meet, because if we don't meet it, we're not going to get building permits.
Okay, I'll have a comment later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. What's the height of your attic?
The height of the attic is 8 feet inside. It's 8 foot clear. The one thing about this attic is it doesn't go the wide way, it goes the narrow way. So if you look at the front elevation, let me just get this here. This is basically the attic that we have. So at this point, this is about 8 foot clear from the structure above, but if you can see, it rapidly becomes smaller, so that the portion that is probably within, 6 feet to 8 feet is probably about just a third of that attic. You're welcome.
I have one quick question on the height of the overall building.
32 feet.
36 feet in relation to the buildings on either side, the houses, the homes on either side. How would you rate that? Is that taller? Any guesstimation is fine too, if you have.
I think we have the planner who will actually talk to that in a little
Yeah,
while.
our planner is going to walk you through
Yes.
those both
We'll hold
measurements.
of that, yeah.
And just for clarification, it's 32 feet, not 36, correct?
It's 32 feet from the average grade.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh. Hold on one second.
Sure.
Okay, sorry, so, I'm just looking at the plan, so if it's 2 feet, there's a 2 feet from the grade level to the first floor, then you have 9 feet, and then another 9 feet, so that's 20 feet. And so it's 32 feet, so that to me seems that the attic would be 12 feet, unless I'm missing something with my addition.
So you have the height from the grade, and the grade is
Right.
2 feet off the first
Right.
floor. So you have 9 feet, and then you
Right.
have another 9 feet on the second floor, so
Right.
that's 20 feet.
Right.
Then you have the structure, which would probably be about a foot and a half, and then the structure of the roof, so you probably eliminated another 3 feet, so 18, 20, 23 feet, and it's 32. So that would be about 9 feet, but you do have the structure of the attic itself, so it's probably about 8 feet.
Okay, all right, thanks for clearing that up.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call my next witness, my planner, Nick Raviano.
You swear or affirm that the statements and testimony presented before this evening will be true, accurate, and complete?
I do.
Would you please spell your name and give us your address?
Yes, my first name is Nicholas with an H, last name Graviano, G-R-A-V as in Victor, I-A-N-O. I'm a planner and partner with Graviano and Gillis Architects and Planners with a business address of 101 Crawfords Corner Road in Holmdel, New Jersey.
Thank you so much. Nick, can you please walk us through your educational credentials and also all the licenses which you have?
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree from Rutgers University, a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University, a law degree from the Temple University School of Law, where I received a distinguished class performance in state and local government law. I'm a licensed professional planner in New Jersey. I also hold an AICP certifications. I've been qualified by over 100 municipalities in 18 different counties, including previously by this board.
Now, your license for planning, is that currently still in good standing?
Yes, my planning license is in good standing, as well as my AICP certification.
All right, despite the fact that you're also a licensed architect and you're also an attorney as well, you're only performing tonight, though, as a planner, is that correct?
I'm not a licensed architect, my partner is, but
Okay.
my testimony tonight will be in professional planning.
Thank you. Does the board accept him as a qualified expert in planning?
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness? There being no objections, the witness is accepted as an expert in professional planning.
Thank you. Nick, are you familiar with the R3 zoning district?
Yes, I am.
Are you also familiar with the municipality's master plan?
I am.
And have you had an opportunity to see the site yourself?
Yes, I've been to this site on 2 separate occasions. First time I had the pleasure of being there in that blizzard last week, and I was there a little bit earlier today.
All right, why don't you walk us through why it's your professional opinion that we can satisfy the D4 standards?
Certainly, obviously, the applicant is before you this evening requesting a D4 FAR variance for a specific piece of property known as Block 5701, Lot 22. That is an undersized and irregularly shaped parcel in the R3 district. As you heard in the architecture testimony, there was great care in the design of this proposal to create a project that meets all the required setback and building coverage requirements, parking requirements. The applicant is also committed to meet all of the engineering requirements of the township. However, that undersized lot does trigger the need for the FAR variance. I'll keep the proofs pretty short. It's getting a little late, but as you all know, with the D4 FAR variance, variances can be granted in particular cases and special reasons. That's the positive criteria of the variance. Now, as you know, the appellate courts in the state of New Jersey have ruled that the D4 variance is more akin to the D3 conditional use variance than the D1 use variance, in that the applicant must demonstrate that the proposal could handle any ills generated by the granting of the FAR variance. And in this particular case, there's certainly no adverse impacts from this proposal. As Mr. Posada said in his intro, this is essentially an R4 lot in the R3 zone. It is less than all of the requirements of the R4 zone, which has deemed to be appropriate for such development by this township. So I certainly do not see a substantial impairment to the zone plan, which is the master plan or the zoning ordinance. In fact, this proposal advances objectives of the master plan to maintain the stable residential character of the municipality, as well as to create development that is befitting of the neighborhoods. It certainly advances purpose of zoning A of the MLUL, promotion of the general health, safety, and welfare. That's done by eliminating the 84-year-old house, which was constructed in 1940, constructed a new house to modern building codes and standards. It certainly advances purpose G to provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. And then lastly, it certainly, by the nicely designed house, advances purpose I, desirable visual environment and creative development techniques. There was a previous question by the board, how does this relate to the neighboring properties? The property to the right of the home, which I believe is 6 Wynwood, is a 2-story dwelling. It's orientated in a different direction because that lot's a little bit wider, so that house is wider. This house is more long. Certainly, this house, coincides with the development of that house. There's no adverse impacts from the height of this structure. And I would like to note that the applicant is not requesting a height variance with this application, so I do not see any problems with the height. Just quickly to get this on the record, there are existing non-conforming lot size and lot width conditions that are not being augmented by this application. They certainly could be granted under the C1 criteria, whereas strict application of the township zoning ordinance would create an undue hardship upon the developer.
Thank you. I have no further questions for this witness.
Does anybody on the board have any questions?
I can make a comment. So I think you mentioned at the very beginning that this is really more of like an R4, not really an R3. So the minimum lot area of the R4 is 9375, and you're at 9624, right? So, and the habitable floor ratio is 30% for an R4. So you're really closer to an R4, and you're asking for 28.92%. So you're really closer to like an R4%.
Yes, that
okay.
is correct.
Great, thank you. Trying
Thank
to help you out.
It's a great
Okay.
observation.
Yes. And just to give you by way of background, that's what we were thinking when we were designing the proposed improvement, because as you guys already have heard from our testimony, this is not an addition, this is ground-up construction, so we do control what that box is actually going to look like. So in doing so, we want to be consistent with what the R4 zoning was.
Great, thank you. Any other questions from the public, or any questions for the public for this witness? Okay. Any comments? Sure, come on up. You'll have to be sworn in to make your comment, though.
I'm very sorry. I realize it's late for everyone.
It's okay. Do you want to?
Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're going to make to the board are true and accurate? I'm sorry. Do you swear or affirm that the statements you're going to make to the board this evening are going to be true, accurate, and complete?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. You consider yourself under oath.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to say, I'm Brad Sampson, and I'm at 10 Wynwood Road here in Livingston. Okay, I just want to make a brief statement. I never heard them say anything about being on the property after it rains heavily. So I'm going to make the following statement. The property at 8 Wynwood Road is at the bottom of a hill. There are known issues with standing water on the property when it rains heavily, and the puddles almost reach the rear of the house. The water table, I believe, is very high in the area. Now, I'm not a hydraulic engineer, so I don't know about that. I've worked very hard to keep my basement dry. I just want the board to know any foundational changes that they plan, it sounds like they're going to do that. At number 8 might affect my foundation if water management control is not properly addressed. That water has to go somewhere, okay? There was something else I want to say, but I forgot, I'm sorry.
That's okay. And as we stated, the engineering department will ensure, the job is that no additional runoff can go to your house from their development, or any direction.
Mr. Chairman,
right? So
yeah,
that's-
the thing is, I didn't hear anything about underground piping or anything.
That's not part of this testimony.
That's fine.
That's why. So the building department will take care of that, and they'll
Okay.
have to submit a proper plan. It'll have to be approved, and prove to the engineering department that there's no additional water going to your property or the property on the other side.
Okay.
So that's kind of standard. But
I appreciate,
no,
Mr. Chairman,
But
for
we
helping.
appreciate your comments, they're very important, and we want to hear
Okay.
from everybody.
All right. Yeah, well, this is, for the engineering department, I give them kudos, because that's what maybe came here,
Yeah.
the report, the engineering
Right.
review. Thank you very much,
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you. Appreciate your comments. Do you want to have do you need a closing statement, or I think you're good? or-
No, I'll keep it very short, and I'll just make a comment in response to his. If anything, this
Please.
application is going to actually improve the current stormwater issue at the subject site. As mentioned before in both the engineering memorandum and brought up by the chairman himself, we are going to be charged with the responsibility of meeting the municipal and also state requirements for stormwater management, and we will see to it.
Thank you, Mr. Posada.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion from anybody?
I'll make it. So it's a brand-new house, and it's very modest, and I'll make a motion to approve.
I second it.
All right.
Mr. Kenya?
Yes.
Ms. Marash?
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes. Mr. Buptani?
Yes.
Mr. Affronti?
Yes.
Ms. Khanna?
Yes.
And Mr. Beer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Take care. Will you call the final application?
Is this the? Hi.
You made it.
Block 6001, Lot 33, 18 Tower Road. Application number 2024-3-V, Leke Joni. One applicant seeks approval to construct a new single-family residence in violation of the following section, 170-97C2, front yard setback, 60 feet required, 42.5 feet proposed, 17.5 feet variance requested, 170-97C4, rear yard setback, 50 feet required, 33.5 feet proposed, 16.5 feet variance requested, 170-87CC2, habitable floor ratio, 18% allowed, 28.1% proposed, 10.1% variance requested.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Shepis. I'm the applicant's attorney. May I be seated? Okay. Well, let me just give you a brief introduction. This property is located at 18 Tower Road here in the township. The property is substantially undersized for the zone. It's zone R2. It's only about 42% of the minimum lot area required. 25,000 square feet is required. The lot is 10,650 square feet. Your ordinance limits the floor area ratio, and we're petitioning the board for relief from that requirement based on the undersized nature of the lot. The lot is also substantially shallow as it relates to lot depth. So this property, as every other property along this side of the street, does not meet the required front yard setback nor the rear yard setback. So we're proposing setbacks that are in compliance with the pattern of development that exists. Standing to my right is John Babula. Mr. Babula is a licensed architect. He's here to provide testimony relative to the proposal. So without further ado, I ask you to be sworn and place his credentials on the record.
Mr. Babula, would you, do you swear or affirm that all the statements and testimony you give to the board this evening will be true, accurate, and complete? I do. Would you spell your name, please?
John Babula, B-A-B-U-L-A.
And address?
976 Tabor Road, Morris Plains, New Jersey.
Mr. Shepis, I'll turn that over to you for credentials.
Very good. Mr. Babula, would you briefly state your credentials as an architect for the record?
I graduated from NJIT in 2014. I have a registered architect in New Jersey, and I am in good standing. I've been licensed as an architect since 2015. And I've testified before over a dozen boards between Bergen, Morris, and Sussex County. And this is actually my first time seeing you in person. I've testified before you, but it was Zoom.
Okay, I think that still counts.
Yep.
All right, very good. I offer Mr. Babula as a licensed architect.
Does anyone on the board have any questions or objections regarding this witness?
Okay,
There
Mr.
being no objections, the witness is accepted as an expert in architecture.
Very
Now
good.
I turn it over to you.
Okay, very good. Mr. Babula, let's talk about the property as it exists today. You presented plans to the board that have been reviewed, and it's based upon a current survey. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So why don't you tell us briefly about the existing conditions, the size of the property, the dimensions of the property, and the existing house?
Sure. The existing property is 85 by 125. It's 10,625 square feet, which in this zone, it should be 25,000 square feet. So it's an undersized lot for lot area. As we mentioned, the existing house here, does not meet the front yard or the rear yard setbacks. We are pretty much maintaining those setbacks, moving it over a little bit, and so we will still need a front yard and a rear yard setback.
All right, so let's walk through that. What are the existing setbacks as relate to front yard and rear yard for this property? And then maybe if you could tell us the existing front yard setbacks for the adjoining properties on either side.
So what's required, front yard is 50 feet. The existing house is at 46.42, and our proposed is going to be 45 for the front yard. The rear yard is a requirement of also 50 feet. The existing is 33.1, and to the new dwelling, it's going to be 37.6, and to the back steps, it'll be 33.5, which is both an improvement on the existing.
And what about the setbacks for the adjoining houses on either right or left? And if you could give us the front yard setbacks, and if you could tell us where you received this information.
Sorry, let me just get this over here. To the two properties to the right and left, they're about 40 feet for the minimum and 44 feet to the front yard setbacks, which is an average of 42.5 for the front yard setbacks there. I got this information from Google Maps, scaled it off, and compared it to our lot. And as far as the rear yard setbacks, I do have, I believe, this diagram here, which will be a new exhibit.
Okay, very good. So, Mr. Babula, is it fair to say you prepared a handout exhibit for the members of the board
Yes.
for setbacks? So why don't we mark that as Exhibit A1? I assume you prepared it, or is prepared
Yes, I
under
did.
your direction?
Yep.
And if you could briefly just tell us what it is so we can identify it.
Again, it's a description of the lots to the left and to the right of the subject property, and it shows their front yards and relative rear yards as well.
So we'll call it setback exhibit.
Sure.
Okay, very good. Do you have enough for everybody here?
Yes, I believe
Okay,
so.
very good. So if Mr. Babula could approach and
Please,
just hand
yes,
this out.
thank you.
And as you can see with the diagram there, the rear yards.
Let's just give people a chance to
Okay.
handle it, yeah.
Let me see if I have that here.
And you'll send a copy to Ms. Hollis?
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Babula, would you email that to Board
Yes.
Secretary? You have it here on the screen as well?
I do not have it on the screen here. I can use this. It does not have the rear yard setbacks. But from, most of them are in line with our subject property, being 33 feet to 22 feet for Lot 22, I believe, or Lot 35. So the existing properties to the right and to the left, none of them actually meet the required rear yard setbacks.
Okay, so Mr. Babula, just quickly, if you walk us through the front yard setbacks, the left and right, and then the rear yard setbacks, left and right.
So two houses to the left, we have a 41.9 front yard setback. Then we have a 40-foot front yard setback. We have our subject property, which is at 40, currently at 46, but it's proposed 45. To the right, we have 43.4, and two houses to the right, we have 44.4.
Okay, so not being a math major, but I would assume you're further back than any of the houses immediately left or right?
Yes.
Okay. And the rear yard setback, is it comparable to what's existing in the neighborhood, or at least on this side of the street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, I know you've also shown on your plan an area map that shows structures like beyond us, correct?
Yes, there is, here is the area map here with this darker dot here as our subject property.
Okay, so behind us, is there any residence that's butt up against us, or are those buildings located on Route 10?
Those are located on Route 10, and the closest structure is over 200 feet away from our subject house.
I would note, too, that next to the application is an area map that Mr. Babula provided that does show a 200-foot radius. It's based on the tax map, and it does show the structure's more than 200 feet away from our rear property line. Okay, so Mr. Babula, let's talk about the house that's proposed.
So our proposed dwelling, let's see, is a new two-story dwelling. Here's the front facade here. We're proposing hardy board siding in the front with some stone accents on the bottom, asphalt shingles for the main part of the roof, and some standing seam metal accent roofs in the front over the front door and over the garage doors there. We have the left side elevation, again showing some peaks and some character. The rear yard here, again, we have a sliding glass door in the back to a landing that would go to the yard itself. On the left area there, we have a one-story area set back a little bit. And on the right side, again, some peaks and some character and some new roof lines. For the first floor, when you walk into the first floor, you have a foyer with stairs going up to the second floor and down to the basement. To the right of that is a guest bedroom suite. To the left is a dining room. As you go to the back of the dwelling, we have an open concept kitchen and family room with a more formal living room to the right. In front of the kitchen, we have a mudroom that transitions you to the two-car garage, as well as the powder room. On the second floor, as you come up the stairs, we have a total of 4 bedrooms with a primary bedroom suite. a laundry room, and a total of 3 bathrooms. Yes, and a total of 3 bathrooms.
All right, Mr. Babula, what's the total living square footage that would be calculated for habitable floor area?
2,977.
Okay, I don't have anything further, Mr. Babula. The planner will address other statutory criteria.
Great. Anybody on the board have any questions for this witness?
I just have a silly question. So on the zoning table, on the plans, required, it should be 60 feet, but you have 42.5 average. I think I might have missed something, or.
Mr. Babula, why don't you address that?
I think in the zoning ordinances, it says that you can go with the average in this zone, except that nothing should be closer than 50 feet. So it is required 60, but I think when there's an average setback and there's an established front yard setback, you would like 50 feet.
Okay, and then the proposed is 45, that's what's on the plan, right?
Correct.
45, okay, because on our agenda, it's 42.5, so we'll change that to 45.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody in the public? I don't think so. Okay.
Okay, our next witness is Nicholas Graviano. Mr. Graviano is a licensed professional planner. Mr. Graviano provided testimony earlier this evening, and since he's previously been accepted as a licensed professional planner by the board, I asked that after he be sworn that we could dispense with the credentials, knowing that you've already accepted him this evening.
I think we can accept them.
Very good.
I do. I don't think I've done anything wrong in the last 10 minutes.
Okay. All right, very good. Mr. Graviano, the board is
If I could just kindly get a second to put the flash drive
yeah,
in to get the exhibit up. And I will give, I'll give the flash drive to Jackie after I'm done the testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Mr. Graviano, in conjunction with this application, you've prepared an analysis of the zoning and likewise conducted some site inspections and are prepared to provide testimony to the board and the public in support of this application. Is that fair to say?
That is correct.
So why don't you tell us what you looked at and tell us what you found out and what your opinions are?
Certainly, as with the previous case, I did have a chance to view the neighborhood on 2 separate occasions to get a feel of how the proposal would impact the neighborhood. The applicant is before you tonight requesting the D4 FAR variance, as well as pre-existing conditions for the undersized lot, the proposed front and rear yard setback variances. As Mr. Shepis and the architect indicated in their testimony, this is a severely undersized lot. 25,000 square feet is required. 10,625 square feet is existing and proposed. As you can see in the exhibit, I guess we'll call this A2.
Okay, and this is an exhibit prepared by your office, an aerial photograph with some superimposed information?
Yes, this is an aerial gathered from Google Maps. The photographs were taken by myself. The front facade of the subject property is copied from the proposed architectural plans. What I would like to note in this situation is you'll see the consistent front and rear yard setbacks along Tower Road of the dwellings. You'll see that the applicant's existing house as well as the proposed house do follow that established development pattern. The applicant is actually increasing the rear yard which exists today, is providing a couple of feet difference, as well as the applicant's front yard setback of 45 feet is actually, approximately 3 feet larger than the surrounding neighboring property. So in the context of this neighborhood, the positioning of the house and the size of the house is certainly in keeping with the established development pattern of the area. And that's key because, you know, as you know, with the D4 FAR variance, the analysis must be, can the site accommodate any ills from the proposed development, as well as showing that there's no substantial detriment to the neighborhood zone plan or zoning ordinance. We did have a chance to analyze the R4 zoning district requirements. As this lot is closer to an R4 lot than it is to an R2 lot, the applicant would meet all of the ordinance requirements needed for the R4 lots. So there's certainly no potential negative impacts that could be generated from the development of this property. The applicant agrees to conform to all engineering requirements in terms of drainage design, and the applicant is providing more than adequate off-street parking for a dwelling of this size. The house is a little bit less than 3,000 square feet, which certainly isn't a monster house by any means. It's a pretty mid-sized dwelling when you look at housing sizes, so it certainly does not trigger any of the adverse impacts that were generated by these FAR variances that were created, as well as some of the master plan goals and objectives to limit the sizes of the so-called McMansions. With respect to the lot size, requested lot size variance of the existing condition, that could certainly be granted under the C1 criteria, where strict application of the township zoning ordinance would create undue hardship upon the applicant. With respect to the front and rear yard setbacks, they could certainly be granted under the C2 criteria relating to a specific piece of property. Here you have a drastically undersized lot in the R2 zone, which is more akin to the R4 zone. It advances purposes zoning of the municipal land use law, purpose A, promotion of the public health, safety, and general welfare. This is a house that did sit vacant for numerous years. It's not a house, you know, upon discussion with the architect, that is salvageable. The previous owners really let the structure deteriorate. Additionally, it advances purpose G to provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of residential uses to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. And then lastly, it certainly promotes purpose I, desirable visual environment. When you look at the exhibit, you know, it's certainly a house with similar characteristics of those in the neighborhood, with its own distinct flair to create a house which is certainly going to be aesthetically pleasing from the street and add to the streetscape of the neighborhood. With both the C1 and C2 variances being requested, there's no substantial detriment to the public good or substantial detriment to the zone plan or zoning ordinance.
Now, Mr. Graviano, on this exhibit you provided A2, you show some photographs. Those homes, are they in close proximity, presumably based on the arrows that you show?
Yes, that's a little cluster of homes on Tower Road. All of those homes have Tower Road addresses. They have similar characteristics to the homes that the applicant's proposing, and they're all larger than the homes that the home that the applicant is proposing.
Okay, so you're talking about one house next door and two across the street.
That is correct.
All right, now you've drawn reference between the subject property and the compatibility of the proposal to what would be analogous to the R4 zone. Now, could you just tell us how we would relate to the potential FAR percentages as relates to the R4 zone? What's permitted there and what's permitted in our zone?
Yes, with respect to the R4 zone in relation to our property, the R4 zone requires a 9,375 square foot lot, whereas the applicant's property is 10,625 square feet. The maximum square footage in the R4 zone is 3,220 square feet. As you heard in the architectural testimony, the applicant has a little bit less than 3,000 square feet, so it's certainly 200 square feet less than what would be permitted in the R4 zone. With respect to the maximum HFAR, the R4 zone permits 30%. The applicant is at 28.1%. The front yard setback for the R4 zone is 40 feet, whereas the applicant is proposing 45 feet. And then lastly, the rear yard setback in the R4 zone is 35 feet, whereas the applicant is proposing 37.6 to the dwelling. There is a little bit of a landing in the back, which is, to the code requirement. So when you look at the R4 standards, this house actually is less than everything that's proposed, except for the lot size, which is a little bit bigger than what the R4 requires.
Okay, now, the ordinance seems to link lot area to these percentages, is that fair to say?
That is correct.
So the fact that we're so substandard and it's a hardship, is it fair to say that that's satisfies the positive criteria as relates to these variances and even the D4?
That is correct. In this context where you have a lot that's close to 14,300 and change smaller than what it has to be, to apply that maximum HFAR of 0.18 when the lot's supposed to be 13,000 square feet bigger, just doesn't make rational planning sense.
And the fact that the ordinance recognizes that the percentages which you described would be compliant in the R4 setting are appropriate in that zone based on the lot area, is it fair to say that based on that, it wouldn't be a substantial negative impact to the zone plan and zoning ordinance? In other words, it's not the typical quote-unquote McMansion as is referenced in the master plan of 2018.
That is correct. I think a house a little bit under 3,000 square feet in this time is a pretty modest-sized house, as well as when you look at the neighborhood characteristics of houses in the proximity, which are larger, and the fact that the applicant is being consistent with the established front and rear yard setbacks of the neighborhood, as well as meeting the code requirements for the side yard setbacks, this is certainly a very rationally planned proposal.
Okay, I don't have anything further.
Anybody on the board have any questions for this witness?
I want to make a comment. On your zoning table, you have an error with the maximum building coverage calculation because you're missing a pair of parentheses in your calculation. So you're going to have 2,528 square feet instead of 2,655. You may want to double check and change that.
We'll check that, Babula.
Yeah.
I think we're still under the building.
Yes, that does not change, the end result, but it's an error on the plan, so you want to correct that.
I have a comment.
Yes.
I have a comment. I think it's a modest, enhancement in the neighborhood compared to the old house.
I assume there's no questions or comments from the public? I didn't think so. Do you want to have a closing statement?
I rest on the record.
Okay, does anyone want to make a motion?
I can make a motion. Yeah, with this new house coming on the 18 Tower Road, it's a great enhancement in the neighborhood. I approve to move forward.
Anyone
Okay.
want a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Kenya,
Yes.
Mr. Affronti,
Yes.
Ms. Khan votes yes, Mr. Bhutani,
Yes.
Ms. Khanna,
Yes.
Ms. Marash,
Yes.
and Mr. Beer.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Congratulations.
Thank you for staying late.
Thank
We
you. Have a
appreciate-
good night. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we blew through that. Quick evening. We're adjourned.